I can't believe we're here. When we first started this podcast, I didn't even think we were going to get guests. But the most important part about this podcast is how it's impacting you guys.
Watching your podcast has changed my life.
I broke down at the altar. I went to my knees.
Emily, you couldn't meet your husband tonight. And
No,
I said,
she didn't.
Swear to God.
You guys got deep, dude. You guys sit with me every Thursday and tune into these conversations. Well, I think it's time that you guys join the conversation.
Who wants to chat with me? You guys want to go the deep route or you guys want to go the fun route?
The George Janko Show is coming to you. Get your tickets at thegeorgejankoshow.com. The Man on Water tour now available. I didn't believe Katt Williams when he talked. What's the real story between you guys?
You know, look, man.
You brought Michael Jackson to church.
Me and Mike were friends.
We have a lot of similarities. My dad always taught me how to fight. My mother taught me how to pray.
Wow, you know that, yeah. If God had told me everything I was going to go through, I would have turned around.
Maybe shouldn't be saying this on the podcast.
Phone camera. Worst invention.
Made my career, but we'll discuss that one later. I can't even comprehend the way that he's talking or he's moving or he's adjusting the universe. Why are we doing this?
Look, man, it takes a while to get that.
What happens when I don't have that voice talk back to me?
The roughest conversation I've ever had was to walk in there and tell that doctor, take my mama off the machine. Whew. I just crumble, man.
I'm just praying, I don't fight, I just pray. I only go the way of mistake.
That's lovely, George. I love it. A real gift to be around.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's a very good question.
I love you guys.
You've given me something to think about.
Over for a lot of that
How long y'all been married?
We just got married in September.
Jackpot.
Yeah. But in July, we'll be together for 5 years.
Thank
For
God
6
they're going to
years.
have a good children because of her.
Yeah.
Blue eyes, light skin, you know.
Bro, I'm part of your bloodline, dog. I have the same Assyrian
I
genes
know,
as you.
but
Yeah.
jeez, I mean.
Yeah, you need, no, man.
Thank you.
No, listen. You need a bad chick.
I know.
You need a bad chick.
My father's been telling me.
Yeah, you know, we not that good. Just go make some money, let them do the rest of it. When my father taught me a valuable lesson, he said, son, it's your job to buy the house. It's her job to make it a home. Don't get in the way of that.
Amen.
If she want to put a pink couch in there, then pink couch it is.
Wow. You had a wise father, man.
She want yellow drapes, just like it.
Nah, I'm a pass on the yellow dress.
No, you're going to let her put the yellow drapes on. Because in a minute, you're not even going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, somebody walks in the house and it's not right, they blame her. Did you see her house? Oh, my God. What are they doing over there? The guy don't get blamed for the condition of the house.
That's true.
You
That's
get
wise.
blamed for where the house is.
Also, I'm just not good at that stuff at all. I tell Belle, I was like, I don't know. I mix colors the wrong way. I do, like, I'm just not good at it. I don't even dress myself like Belle dresses me. Like, I don't even know how to dress
Thank God
myself.
for that,
Right
huh?
I'm in the hot seat. Welcome back, guys. Reed, are we ready to roll? Guys, we have an incredible episode, but before we get started, I kind of wanted to explain to you how this episode even came about, and I think it's kind of funny. And I also want to give a little shout out to Christ because it's always about him. And
Of course.
I'm walking around the neighborhood, as you guys know, before I have Zaya on my podcast, and I'm just talking to God, and I'm like, God, like, I want a good episode, a powerful episode. Like, help me find somebody. I have all these rosters, and I'm trying to figure out who I should talk to next. As I'm saying this prayer, I get a call from my dad. My dad's like, hey, you should have Zaya on your podcast. And I was like, yeah, okay. And a few weeks later, we had an episode. We have a good time. Like, we go to your house, we have dinner. And I'm at my house in Arizona, and I'm reflecting over it. And I just look up at God, and I'm like, just in such a thankful attitude. So now I'm outside, and I'm walking around the neighborhood, and I'm just giving praise to God. I was like, God, thank you so much. You've been providing so much. As soon as this leaves my mouth, I get a phone call. Now it's Zaya. And Zaya goes, hey, man, do you want to have my friend on the podcast? And I was like, who's your friend? And he goes, Steve Harvey. I go, Steve Harvey's your friend? He goes, yeah, you want to have him over here? I go, yeah, today? He goes, no, not today. He goes, what? I go, anytime, anywhere, we'll do it, bro.
Really?
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Steve Harvey.
No, man. Thank y'all. Appreciate that.
An honor.
That's a good story. Yeah, I like that.
Dude, it's been such an honor watching you. You know, a lot of people give you, like, when you start a podcast or a show, they'll list all of your credits you've done. Mm-hmm. And if I had to do that right now, we'd be here until the end of the show. You've been doing this for such a long time at the highest level. But I wanted to share something that meant a lot to me. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an entertainer, and I'd always practice. The only person I knew of, because I was young, was Michael Jackson.
Right.
I'd watch him, moonwalk, go back in my room, and I would entertain my family. But once a week, my mom would call me out of practice, out of my room, and she goes, come here. And she would make me sit and she would rewind you speaking about God. Wow. And she goes, I know you're going to be an entertainer, but when I send you to Hollywood, I want you to be a soldier of God like this man.
Good for her.
That when you go out there, that you're a bright light to them and the darkness won't overtake you. And so there was a moment when I was in my career and I was kind of going back and forth. You know how it is. Once you're in the desert, now you're in the palace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, is this it? We've worked this hard. I go, and this is it? This is like, I don't understand. And then I go on Instagram and I see your video of you talking about how you're about to get that call when you're filled up with soap.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I just thought, man, how many people are like me that you help them just walk out of that desert, like how the Jewish people are wandering, only to have faith in what God put in front of them.
Wow.
Do you, I guess my first question, I hate to go so deep, but I'm just so excited. I want to get right to it. Which one was it that do you feel impacted you the most? Because when I was watching your life, there was a part where you're in the wilderness. That's you bathing and showering in that room. And there's one where you're at the palace. Yeah. And I don't think I'm at the palace just yet. So I wanted to know which one affected you and which one still kind of like lingers in your heart. Is it the moment where you were washing yourself, waiting for that phone call? Or was it you in the kingdom when you're performing a special, you're already like just released, your mother just passed, and now somebody's chewing you on the radio? Like, do these moments feel the same, or do they feel?
Yeah, you know, it's such a powerful thing to understand the journey, and you don't really understand the journey till you're on the other side of it. You know, you don't get it when it's in the process, because most people, including myself, we don't understand the process. I do now. You know, like now when something negative happens, I understand the process, because I've learned over the years that everything you're going through is God preparing you for what you asked for.
Yeah.
And that's critical for you. So the part that has kept me the most, I guess, is I have such a keen and profound sense of memory of every single one of my steps. I never forgot a single one. You know, somebody told me one time, said, man, every time I look on TV, you crying. Well, a lot of them ain't, a lot of them ain't tears. A lot of them is scars. It's like somebody pick a scab and open it back up. Like I'll be sitting somewhere talking about something that happened to me, and it's like I picked the scab open again. And it's not tears, them is scars. You know, I can vividly remember the place I was when it happened to me. And it causes me to forever be grateful, because all of those moments, all of those memories are defining moments for me. And I don't know if there's one in particular. It's such a cluster of things that has to happen to you to get you to where you want to go. And it's just understanding the process that has helped me the most, I would say. You know, so, man, when you're sitting there and you're going through it, you don't nobody want to go through it now. You know, nobody wants to go through it.
Yeah.
But you got to, because in that are the valuable lessons that you will need after you get there. Like, I'm rambling right now, sounds like, but listen to me. There ain't no elevator to the top. You got to take the stairs. If you do catch an elevator to the top, you're not going to stay there.
Exactly.
Because there are some steps along the way that you had to have stepped on
To prepare you.
to keep you, to maintain you. And if you don't step on all the steps, you can't stay where the elevator took you. You're going to crumble.
It's a part of a blessing. It's a part that the entire step process is a part of a blessing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you go through it, you get those scars, you get those experiences. Scars are an important part of it. People usually don't see your scars. But every time you're brushing your teeth, you're washing your face, you see your own scar.
Yeah.
And it reminds you the journey, and it reminds you the important lessons you learn.
Right.
Otherwise, you forget. It's human, forget things, right?
And that produces tears in you, man, because you go, wow. Because I'm so spiritually connected to the journey. God don't allow me to forget the journey. You know, you see people win awards and they get up there and they go down this list of all these lawyers, and I want to thank my lawyer, and I thank my agent, and I thank my publicist, and I thank Robert Crowns for putting me in. Hey, man, where you think them people came from?
Exactly.
God places those people in your path. It ain't them. It's God. I had a former manager one time, who was angry with me because he said, "You never mentioned me. You only stood up there and talked about God." I said, "Look, man, if I'm telling you the truth, I can't think of nothing else, man. Yeah. I can't think of nothing. It's him. It's him, dog. It's him all day, every day, all the way."
Yeah. Amen.
Jessica's calling the giveaway winner. I hope this guy answers the call.
George?
Hello?
Hello?
Well, Jess, you kind of interrupted the surprise by saying George.
Okay, no shot.
Dude, this was supposed to be way more of a surprise. Chris, congratulations, bro. Thank you so much for entering, and I can't wait to hang out with you, dude.
Oh, this is crazy, man. I can't wait either.
So you're from Tulsa?
I live in Tulsa with my wife. We're youth pastors here.
Do you want to be flown to Phoenix or LA?
Is there one that's like more convenient that you would want to do?
How about this? Talk with your wife, and then whichever you guys want to go to, you let me know, and I'll fly you guys out.
Okay, bet.
Okay, dude. Chris, it was a pleasure meeting you, bro.
Hey, likewise, bro.
Thank you guys so much for watching and entering. I'll do some in the future if you guys want to hang out. Or maybe I'll do some giveaways where you guys can come hang out with me backstage on tour or anything cool like that. You guys let me know what the next giveaway should be. I like these things. I'll see you guys later and enjoy the rest of the episode. I'm realizing that my works are only a reflection of the wisdom that God puts in me. And I could work all day, but if I don't have the proper mind or spirit for it, that rock is not going to move over and that Lazarus is not going to come up. So my question is, because we have a lot of similarities. My dad always taught me how to fight. My mother taught me how to pray. I just saw it when I was looking at you.
You know that. Yeah, that's
it's built in you. So my one question is, and I never really heard you talk about this, and I want to really know, did your mom ask you to ask God for wisdom?
Yeah. I've only read one book in the Bible in its entirety. Over and over. And that's Proverbs. It's the book of wisdom and understanding.
Changed my life.
I started that at 15. And I've never read an entire book in the Bible except for Proverbs several times. The book of wisdom and understanding. It is your silver and your gold.
Yeah.
I'm not blessed as a student. I'm not blessed as a scholar. I don't know a lot of stuff. But man, I got such a cold dose of faith for you. You look, man, you can outdress me, you can outdance me. This is my father. They can outdress you, they can outdance you, they can outthrow you, they can outjump you, they can outrun you, they can outsing you. But don't you let no man outwork you. Yep. You ain't gonna outwork me, man. I don't care what you do. So even if you know more than me, I'm just gonna outlast you. You get up at 5, I'm up at 4:30. You stay up to 11, I stay up to midnight. Well, I'm gonna just outwork you in every aspect of life. I don't know how, without those two, my father taught me to be a fighter, to scrap, man. I teach my sons that.
Mom's off limits.
Bruh, the dog in you. Develop dog in you. I'm on the internet this week, right? When people take pictures of me and my wife, we're in Paris. And the big comment was, look at him. He walks all the way around to the other side of the car to put his wife in the car. And I wait till that door shuts, because now I know she's safe inside. Anything pop off, I got this. I'm her protector. I was raised that way by my father.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then my mother was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. That was all faith. She'd pray, God, the Lord, prayer, faith. And that's all I've ever known, even when I was living in the car. And I had strayed away from God. You know, I was raised in the church, man. So, but when I went to college, man, whew, I did a U-turn.
Yeah. Prodigal son vibes.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment for you? You know, when you're brought up in the church, you practice because it's a habit and your parents want you to be there.
Yeah.
But then there's a moment between you and God where he unlocks a true relationship with him. Was there a specific moment for you where you really felt Jesus' presence and you felt like you had a whole new rebirth with him?
Yeah, because it wasn't the building, the church. It wasn't the building. What I needed was the relationship with him.
Amen.
Not the building, man. You can go to church. I sung in the choir. I did all of that, man. But when I went to college, there was no building. There was no choir. And I kind of strayed away. And my darkest moment was when he stripped me of everything. And I was homeless and I was living in that car. He needed my undivided attention. That's why you see a lot of guys go to prison and find God.
Right.
Because he has your undivided attention now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You had to really wrestle with those guys.
Bro,
for a bit.
because now you're in a place where you really do need him. Because a lot of people in there ain't thinking about him. And a lot of people find God in church. I found God in a car, in a state of homelessness.
I feel like that's, out of all of the achievements you've had, has to be your greatest, like, one. Like, out of all of the awards, the 7 TV shows, the king of comedy, like all the things, when you're sitting there, your old age, you have to be reflecting about you in the car. So it's crazy how the creator of the universe could make your lowest point your most valuable point.
Yeah, because he needs all of us. He gonna get our attention. If he has a purpose for you and a plan for you, and you're willing to open yourself up to that plan, he gonna get your attention on how to get to that plan. Because we don't know. Look, if God had told me everything I was gonna go through to become the global presence that I am today, I would have turned around. I'd have said, no, I'm gonna be a tomato farmer or something. Let me figure something else out. You're gonna take everything I've ever worked for twice. You're gonna strip me down to nothing twice. You're gonna let me get on social media. You're gonna let them attack me like that and call me coons and jigaboos and stuff that I'm not. You think I'm gonna let you do that? No, I don't want to be that no more. That's why God never shows us what the requirements are. He lets us have the dream, but he don't show us the route. Because if he showed you the route, you turn around. No, you would not be who you are if God had showed you everything you needed to do to get.
Yeah, and in top of that, God gives you all of these challenges, but he also gives you the strength for you to pull all those challenges. And when you're down, often you feel like somebody took your hand and actually helps you stand up on your feet again.
Yeah.
And then you fall again and you question God, right? Look, why you keep doing this to me, right? Enough is enough, right? I suffer enough. But he knows how much you have to suffer in order to get to that ultimate goal that you want to be.
Yeah, have you seen that thing online? I'm paraphrasing it, but I asked God to make me tough. So he sent a lot of people to beat me up.
Yeah.
You know
Careful what
I mean?
you pray for type of thing?
Yeah, man.
In the Bible, when he's teaching you like how to pray, he says, lead me away from temptations. And I would sit there and I'll be like, what? Like, don't you want to be tested so you could grow? And some people, when they're stuck in a chokehold in life, it's because they prayed for something. God's going to promise on and deliver it, but you don't want to rise to the occasion. So you're getting smushed by his weight. And then we blame God for it. But I'm starting to realize the pattern. I mirror my father on earth with my heavenly father. So, for example, if my dad walks into the room and he says, George, get up, we're going. I'm not going to be like, where we're going? Because he's going to fly kick me in the face. I don't tell my dad, hey, where we're going. I'm just like, who are you talking to? You don't ask me where we're going. Get your ass up. We're leaving. Yeah. Right? So how am I going to tell my God, who I can't even comprehend the way that he's talking or he's moving or he's adjusting the universe? Why are we doing this? I can't. It's a form of pride, me wanting to know what the king is summoning me for.
But look, man. But it takes a while to get there, though.
Right.
It takes a while to go along with the master plan, because we have our own set of ideals. I got a vision board. This is what I want. The mistake I used to make was I had the vision board and what I want, and I had my own timeline attached to it. That's a lot of sleepless nights. That's a lot of disappointment, man, because I wanted everything to happen. Like, look, I don't understand why I didn't get famous sooner. I didn't understand why I didn't have money sooner. When I was in that car, at the 6-month point, I said, okay, God, I got it. He said, no, a little bit longer. After about a year in that car, I said, okay, I got it now. Whatever you're trying to tell me, I got it. He said, I know, man, let's stay a little bit longer. 2 years in that car, I was done. Hey, man, I got it. I'm listening to you. I'm paying attention to you, God. Okay, hey, dog, you tripping. I said I got it. He said, no, I hear what you said, but I really want you to get it. And at the 3-year mark, when I was saying, okay, I'm done. I'm going home. I'm washing up in this bathroom. I'm going to call my dad and just see if I can come stay at the house for 6 months, find a job. I'm through. He said, okay, now you got it. Go make a phone call. I called the answering machine, and Chuck Sutton said, hey, it's Chuck Sutton from Showtime at DePaul. I saw a tape. Can you get to New York? Well, I had $30. I can't get from Pensacola, Florida to New York. And then I hung up and I was crushed because the one thing I want to do was be on TV, and I got $30 and I got till Sunday to get to New York, and it's Wednesday and there's no way I can get there. There ain't enough gas. I got no. He said, pick up the phone again. And I called back, and then Tom Sober said, I had a gig for you in Florida. I went and made $150. I was so funny, the guy said, stay the next night. I made $300. Eastern Airlines had a ticket for $99. I'm in New York on Sunday. I went on Showtime at Apollo that night, and I've been on TV ever since.
Wow.
But I was at the give up moment, and we all have a turn back moment. Everybody, all of us, you've had the moment where you thought,
Many times, yeah.
I can't do this no more. This ain't gonna work. Man, let me go do something else. No, man, I just needed you to get to this point so you could see that it's really me that's in control of this whole thing. Ain't got nothing to do with you, your time frame, or nothing. This really me, man. I'm really in control of this. Now watch this. And then he ordered the people in my place, and the next thing you know, now, it didn't fix everything, but at least the dream was coming true.
He gave you enough to move on.
Man, give us this day our daily bread.
Yes.
You know, my mom would teach me this, and she'd also teach me the Lazarus effect. There's going to be a moment in your life where you think it's dead. It could be a relationship. It could be an opportunity. It could be your work. It could be your friendship. It could actually even be you yourself. But God's waiting to see if you are trusting in him. And so she opens up the Bible verse and she goes, why is Jesus weeping at Lazarus' tomb if he knows that they're going to be shocked in a few minutes? And I go, I don't know why. She goes, because he's weeping because he's feeling their pain, but he's also feeling their faith.
Wow.
So she said, that's why he made them move the rock. So sometimes it might feel like I'm dead or I can't move, but that's my feeling. And what I've learned is I cannot just go with the feeling of my heart because my God's greater than my heart. So I have to put my head down and just keep moving forward. But to be honest, it was men like you that like spoke these things. And so people come up to me and ask me, hey, why do you talk so vividly about God and why are you not ashamed? And the truth is because of people like you that built me up. So my question to you is, why did you?
Well, look, man, the first time it happened for me was on Donnie McClurkin, the gospel singer, was on what's the network, TBN. He was doing a show and he asked me to be a guest. Well, I'm in comedy, I'm on TV, and we get on this show, and the people that own the TBN network, I saw them when I was doing a deal with Dr. Phil a couple of years at Merritt Street Studios that was opening up. And they told me, your clip is the highest rated clips we've ever had in the history of our show. And because Donnie McClurkin was the first person since I had been in entertainment who had ever asked me about my soul.
Wow.
Man, when you're in comedy, man, people bring you on to entertain. He's a funny guy. Here comes this guy. But they didn't know on the inside, man, I was full of pain because I had this soul that I was deeply concerned about. And I had a relationship with God that nobody really knew about. And they didn't even ask me because I was just asked to come and perform. Look, man, I'm a king of comedy. I was that dude, man. When the Kings was out, man, we was the biggest comedy tour to ever come out at that time.
I think it still is up there as one of the greatest.
It's one of the great monumental things, man, I think, and we'll go down in history because of that. And I thought that was it. But I was empty because nobody had asked me about my soul. And Donnie McClurkin asked me about my soul. And I broke down so hard on that camera. And I couldn't even talk. I was heaving, crying, but I was still trying to convey the message because I wanted people to know, look, man, there's another side of me that y'all don't see. Like he was saying, they don't see the dirt. You know, a lot of people have been throwing dirt on me, man, for years. Nobody knew about it. And I've been buried on social media. People have done things to me, man, it's so crazy. But they didn't know.
How do you go about maneuvering that? And
well,
obviously,
I'm gonna tell you how, because they thought they was burying me, but they didn't know they was planting me.
yeah.
You gotta have dirt. You ain't a seed. Seeds don't come up out of concrete. They come up when they get dirt on them. But dirt is not only dirt, it's fertilizer, it's nutrients. Everything that grows that's beautiful that God has pushed through the dirt from a seed that's buried. You don't even see it. And all of a sudden you see this thing sprout up. You have no idea that this thing right here finna be an oak tree. This finna be a bad boy. But y'all was putting this dirt on him thinking you was burying him. You was planting him. You was putting them nutrients in me, man.
Exactly.
You was toughening me. You was making me, I got a lot of dog in me and I needed it to come out. And so as I understood that, now, like, I appreciate the internet now, the dirt. I appreciate the haters, you know, and like, I'm so immune to them now because I don't take criticism from people I don't take advice from. Yeah, that
takes a long time to like settle into.
Bruh, you got to get a lot of dirt put on you, and you got to come up through that dirt, and you got to grow into something. So I'm a tree now.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, and dude, like, I want you to feel as comfortable on this podcast.
Yeah.
So if there's anything I ever ask you, or you're like, hey, I don't want to talk about it, let's move on.
I don't care nothing about that.
I didn't believe Katt Williams when he talked. Out of all the things he said, but when he brought you up, I didn't feel authenticity. I felt like more, and I could be wrong, I don't know your guys' relationship. It felt like you guys had like a relationship before and then something bitter in between it. What's the real story between you guys?
You know, look, man, if I could sit down with him and talk to him, I just asked him what happened.
Were you guys ever friends?
Yeah, we was cool. 2005, man, we were cool. And Katt Williams was that guy. In 2005 to 2008, right in there, Katt, we were looking at Katt like, wow.
He's so good.
This is the dude, man.
Yeah.
He was brilliantly funny.
Yeah.
And then something happened. And, you know, I've heard Kevin Hart say certain things, but, you know, I've stayed quiet about it.
How do you, though? Like, how? Because, like, this isn't just a comment on an Instagram post. That video got 100 million plus streams. And then on top of that, it's like you don't want to go out there and dog him because it's not how you were raised.
No, it's
and
not
then you
me.
have to be patient and wait for God.
Right.
But do you ever feel that sometimes you want to call him up and be like, let's sit down and talk. What's going on? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, you know, man, see, the first time it happened was 2009.
Oh, so this wasn't the first time you did this thing?
Oh, no, man. The first time it happened was 2009. We performed in Detroit for New Year's Eve. Biggest paycheck either one of us had ever had. And it was the two of us. Katt got into a situation a few weeks prior to that in South Carolina. And I was about to go to South Carolina in Columbia. And Katt, I got a call from my sister say this lawyer wants to talk to you. And it was a frat brother of mine who was a lawyer and said, I got Katt Williams in my office right now. He says, did you know him? And I said, yeah, I know Katt. Man, we cool. And so Katt got into a situation. I'm not going to say what it was, but it led up to us not being able to do the show New Year's Eve 2008 going into 2009.
Now, just him or both of you guys?
Well, it was going to cause him not to be on the show. Now, I knew what had happened, but I wouldn't tell that to the promoter.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that guy.
Yeah, of course.
I
It's not your
stayed
job.
loyal to it.
Yeah.
But when I got to Detroit and Katt Williams got out of the situation, we were in Detroit that week. He got there early and he was on the radio station talking about, I'm going to destroy Steve Harvey. And I'm going, wait, we're doing comedy. You know, we're not rappers. This ain't a beef. Comedians don't have beefs.
Oh, is this what he was describing when he's like, I tore him up and he doesn't want to do it again?
Yeah.
What?
And so that was, So
Did he
got with
think
this,
that you caused the problem that was in his life?
Well, no, he had got with this promoter, and they were going to cut his pay, and so they wanted to come up way to increase sales. The show sold out eventually, but they get the promoter, who was a dude that shouldn't have been a promoter. He had some money he was doing something with. So he decided to put us in the Joe Louis Arena in a boxing ring and put us in robes, like fighter robes, and Katt insisted that I go first. Well, as long as you pay me my money, I don't care when I go up. So I said, okay, cool. But when I got to the town the day before, man, Katt said he gonna destroy you tomorrow night. And I'm sitting up here going, for what? What? Destroy us? I'm gonna tell my jokes, he gonna tell his jokes. I didn't know the plan, but I told the promoter, hey man, take that boxing ring stuff down. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do my set. He do his set.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was gonna be this beef. So I did my set. When I'm through, he goes up on stage and he just rips into me.
Huh.
And I'm in the tunnel looking at this going, what is happening? Because in my entire comedy career since or before that, that's never happened. You know, we go up, we tell jokes. Our jokes is to make people laugh, entertain people. So I'm in the tunnel. My wife is with me, and she's seeing me, and I'm hot. Now, I'm a Christian, but I ain't that good a Christian. You know.
Slap this cheek, but this cheek's off limit.
No, dog. I don't even turn the other cheek. I haven't graduated to that level. If Christianity is on the 1 to 10, I'm a level 2. I'm an entry-level Christian. I practice that because I can do entry-level Christianity. Advanced Christianity, look. So you on stage and you ripping me. So I said, okay, when he come off stage, I'm going to fix him. I'm going to tighten him up. You know, I'm going to fold his clothes up. You know, I'm going to put some medicine on him. Whatever wrong, I'm going to heal him tonight. And my wife said, no, I want to go home. So I had gotten paid, so we go home, and we're supposed to go to this after party, which was part of the deal. He stood on stage, and he had his buddy in the tunnel record the whole thing. So before I got even to the after party, he had released it on Facebook and everything, and it was just out there talking about Steve Harvey, what I had on, country bumpkin, blah, 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 blah. And I went, wow, the guy didn't do that. But the beauty of it is, every time he does that, something crazy happens to me. So that happened in 2009. It was all over the place. Man, Katt Williams destroyed Steve Harvey. Well, no, not actually, because that month was the same month I released the book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. That book, 16 days later, entered the New York Times bestseller list and stayed on that list 38 weeks at number 1.
Wow.
Wow.
So, thank you. And then, 2 months after that, they saw the trend of the book. Oprah put me on her show twice, and everybody saw it. Next thing you know, here comes Family Feud and goes, this guy's really popular. I got Family Feud in 2009 and the book. The book turned into a $90 million movie. The book stayed number 1 for 38 weeks. And so I watched that turn into that. Fast forward, Club Shay Shay, he's over here ripping me again. Now, here's the other part. At the 25-year reunion of the HBO Def Jam,
I was about to ask
he
you about
was
this.
there.
And in Chappelle.
A buddy came up to me, who's a street guy in L.A., said, hey, man, Katt want to talk to you. I said, I ain't got nothing to say to Katt, man. He cool. He said, no, he won't apologize.
Oh, cool.
I said, all right, cool. So I sit down with Katt. Katt apologized at the 25th. I said, hey, man, know how it feels. He said, man, I was just young, write it off, going through some bad stuff. I said, hey, bro, no problem. I said, Katt,
May I
have a
say
good
something
set
about
tonight.
that?
Yeah.
Because when I watched it, mind you, I'm an outsider, right? But you could pick up when somebody's putting up something real or putting something not. When I saw Dave Chappelle made that one punchline, we're all wondering, is Katt Williams here? And everybody's dying. I'm seeing everybody pick up the beats, but I'm watching you saying, okay, let's move past this. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So that was a moment for you to dog him in front of the whole world
No,
if you
man,
wanted to.
I'm not that guy.
And you said, no, I'm going to clean my hands. I'm going to continue with the show. So then you're saying that day you guys sat down.
He apologized. I accepted it. I figured we cool. No problem. Years go by, he does his thing again, whatever he does. I don't know if it's drugs. I don't know. Kevin Hart said a bunch of stuff about it being drugs and stuff. I've never made a comment. Next thing I know, he's on Club Shay Shay, and here he comes again. And I'm sitting there, and people just, hey, man, did you hear what Katt said about you? And I went, no. So the clip is everywhere.
It's
the most viral clip ever.
yeah, it's out there.
On Club Shay Shay.
How'd you feel about that, by the way? Because that's a big deal, dude. That wasn't like a...
You know, it bugged me, but see, I'm an insider, so I know the truth. I watched that entire podcast just like, man, what's wrong? Because everybody he talked about, here's what I've learned about haters. You'll never have a hater that's doing better than you.
Amen.
It was just too many untruths said in that whole thing about Ricky Smiley. And, you know, you don't have the power to have the man's next role in a dress in Hollywood and a studio accept that from you. You're not that powerful a guy. You don't really turn down $200 million worth of roles. You didn't really do that.
He made it seem like it was like the Illuminati was making you guys do all these things.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I know Jesus. I've never learned what Illuminati was. I know Christ.
Amen.
I know the ultimate source. So when you're talking about Illuminati, I'm oblivious to that. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, also, how could you be a Christian man and then every chance you get to speak on a microphone, you're not building your kingdom, you're just tearing down everybody else's.
You can't, blowing out my candle ain't gonna make yours brighter.
Right.
So, bro, to sit up there and talk about all these men who are accomplishing stuff, I just felt bad for him. And I just wanted to go, man, what's wrong? What happened, man? Because, like I tell you, man, Katt was one of the coldest comedians I'd ever seen come along in a long time.
You know what it is? Like, I've realized that, and you by God, you will know this. The higher God takes you, the more you start to kind of think it's you. Like, you could sometimes fall into the prideful of like, you know, I did this. But if you walk with God every step, every fall, you realize when you're up there, it ain't me. But some people really wrestle with the idea. It's like, it's him plus me. And it's like, yeah, well, if it's him plus you, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Like a lot of problems.
You know, man, I would easily sit with Katt because I'm at a stage in my life where, first of all, nothing you've done has stopped anything God has for me.
Amen.
Nothing, man. I mean,
do you think he's hurting?
He has to be.
Seems like envy.
I don't know if it's even envy because he's quite successful. I wouldn't say he's at the level of what you're doing right now, but like he's okay. God forbid, far from now. But when he does pass, he'll go down as a legend in comedy.
Right.
He is outstanding.
Yeah.
Even if he keeps going on the path that he's doing, where he's burning his bridges or doing whatever, you cannot take away the ability that God gave that man. I would love for you guys to sit down and like just talk it out, like man to man, where nobody could hide behind a screen and then one's on a microphone and then one's on a. Would you, if hypothetically he came to sit down with you right now on this podcast,
Bro, I wouldn't have a problem at all. I sit down and talk to anybody.
Yeah, I would love to watch that.
Cause look, man, I just want peace in my life. I'm not. It ticked me off a bit because I'm a human being. And you know, I've had to work with that one, man, because I've had to forgive two people in my life recently. One of them was a relative, and it's been him, you know. But I forgave him because, look, man, whatever you're going through, it ain't cause of me. If we sit down, you can't say one thing I've ever done to you. Nothing. You can't point out one thing, and I'm clear about that. So whatever's wrong, man, let's work through it, man, because at the end of the day, you know, I stand strong on who I am, you know, what I do for young boys and my wife with the girls and my mentoring camp and the kids I've sent to school and the kids' lives I've changed and what I do as a motivational. Like young people today, they don't even know I was a comedian. Most young people today think I'm a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
And because I stopped in 2015 because I said, okay, I got this talk show now. I got 7 TV shows. Man, if I go out on that stage and say something crazy and one sponsor pulls, the whole empire crumbles. So I knew at that point, let me stop the stand-up. Plus, I can't work 7 days a week. I got some time for my family. So I made a conscious decision to leave. So a lot of young people today don't even know the stand-up that I was or the career that I have. I got a makeup artist. God bless her. She's 28, I think. She was this year was doing my makeup and said, Mr. Harvey, you used to have hair.
You're like, and you used to have a job. Get out.
I went, wait a minute. You think I was born bald? And I just went, yeah, I had hair. And she didn't know. And so I realized then, I said, wow, man, because she said, I was watching some clips. You had a TV show. You were a teacher. You had hair. I went, wow, how old are you? And that was, I've been on TV over 30 years, before she was born. So, yeah, it's kind of it kind of reminds me of how long I've been doing this.
Yeah.
When she said, you have hair.
Have you ever heard of the story of how Zaya got El Septimo?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Can I tell you, I've thought about this story so many times. I was like, man, this guy would... Could you please explain the story for people? Because, like, I was so upset. This dude didn't talk about anything about his businesses at all when he was on my show.
Hey, can I tell you something?
Please.
This dude right here, man, the reason I came out here was just because of a phone call. We had been talking back and forth, texting and Zoom calls and stuff. But he just made a phone call. I was in Paris.
He wasn't planning to come here.
No. And he said, hey, man, I got something I want to talk to you about. He said, I want to show you something, man, that can be a legacy for your family. He didn't tell me what it was. He didn't tell me nothing. I got on the plane and came because this guy, if you know anything about him, he's spiritual. This guy he does what he says he's going to do. He is what he says he is. And he don't really tell you who he really is. You can get to Googling if you want to. You're going to be fascinated.
Right.
But this dude is just that kind of guy. And I've never heard a single person say, he cheated me, he stole from me, he ripped me off, he stepped on me to get where he is. I've heard not one single story. You don't get at this level, and nobody has those types of stories about you. Think about the famous rich people you know today.
Well, he hasn't met Katt yet, so we'll introduce them.
You're going to be on the podcast.
Now I don't know if I want to talk to this guy.
Could you please tell
Yes.
us the story about how you got the cigar when you were in the hotel room?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been smoking cigar for 40 years, and Steve's been smoking cigar for a long time, too.
28 years.
28 years, And it's interesting. It's a very consistent habit. I mean, when you talk to someone, I've been doing this habit for 28 years. I've been doing this habit for 40 years. I mean, it's pretty significant, right? Yeah. I mean, we don't, if you really think about it, right? Because what it does to us, we don't do anything else that long, right? We don't do anything else. We don't eat that long. We don't drink that long, but we do this. And one day I was in Prague, and my wife wanted for us to be at Prague during a New Year because it's always snowing out there. It's nice and so forth. And there's always snow out there, except that year we were there. It just did not snow at all, right? So my wife said, well, we want snow. I said, well, listen, I'm close to God, but I don't think God's going to send snow out here for us in the next couple hours, And then I knew it meant a lot for her, for the kids. So I know the closest place to Prague is Berlin. You can go to Berlin in Germany. It's 2.5 hours of beautiful train ride, and you have plenty of snow in there. So I called a friend of mine who's the president of Dorchester Collection. I said, hey, you have a palace out there. I want some room in there. He says, great, I'll have somebody call you. So the general manager of the hotel called me, and he said, Mr. Yonan, tomorrow's a New Year. You know that, right? I said, yeah. He says, well, after New York, Berlin is the second largest New Year party in the world. 4 million people come right outside of the hotel because of Brandenburg Gate, right? So they celebrate New Year there. He says, so we don't have any room. I said, look, I want 5 rooms, so call me back in 15 minutes, give me the room number, and I hang up on him. So shortly after he called me back, he says, I got your room, but you have to take 14 rooms. I said, 10 minutes ago, you had no rooms, now you have 14 rooms. And he said, the royal family, King Abdullah, when he was alive, he passed away, him and his son took the entire floor of the hotel for them and for their for their family members and so forth. And when he inquired about it, he found out that his son is actually not coming in until after New Year. So he asked the people of the king, is that okay if I rent it? They said, well, if you rent it for one family, it's okay, right? But they have to take that entire section because you can't bring more people on the floor, right? So we went out there, and next morning I get up, I had a breakfast, and I love to smoke a cigar, right after breakfast or during the breakfast. So I told my wife, I said, let me go out there, just take a few puff, I'll be right up, right? And as I'm going out there, I see an entourage of people walking by, right? And I never take the car key for the rooms because I always knock, somebody opens it, right? So I said, shit, what am I going to do? I can't get inside. I don't want to get out of this thing. I said, I'm going to put my head down. He might think I'm some kind of bellboy or something. Pass by, and I'll take the next elevator. Sure thing, he walks by me, and, people went away. I saw the king right in front of me. He said, Mr. Yonan, your kids make a lot of noise at night. I said, Your Highness, I'm sorry. I'm blessed with 5 kids, so obviously they're healthy. They make noise. He says, nah, I'm joking. You going down? I says, yeah. He says, let's go together. So we go to elevator together. It's me and him and a couple of his guys. And I have the cigar in my hand, but I'm holding it. I don't want him to see it, right? Because I knew he smoked cigar, but I just didn't. It was unpolite to do that. So he says to me, smoking a bad cigar is bad for you. I said, I know, but this is the best I can find. And he asked one of his guys to take it away from me. And I said, shit, I lost my cigars right now. And his other guy opened a box. He said, this is a cigar you should smoke. And he gave me El Septimo, 2 El Septimo, double shot. And that is actually Steve's favorite cigar right now.
Yeah.
Let's go for Kings, man.
Yeah, cigar of the Kings,
yeah,
right.
Man.
So, King of the Comedy, right. So anyway, I went outside, and it was snowing cold, and I was wearing just a light jacket like this. But it was for a few minutes, right? And then I got mesmerized so much by this cigar. It just never happened to me, right? I mean, I can never eat a food that I say, oh my God, this is great food. I can never drink a drink that I say, oh my God, this is the greatest drink I ever had. It's nothing to me, right? But this cigar did something to me. As I'm smoking it, I suddenly noticed my wife screaming at me, are you crazy? You're outside? And I'm looking, I got snow all over me, and without realizing the time has gone by, right?
Yeah.
And so I knew I couldn't get a hold of a cigar, just to make the story short, right?
No, don't short it. This is a great story.
So then down the street is the oldest cigar store, 3-story cigar store, established 1711, right? And I buy cigars from them for the longest time. So I went to the guy, his name is Albert. I says, Albert, I want a couple boxes of this cigar, and I had one in my hand because he gave me 2. He looked at it, he said, where'd you get this? I said, why? He said, where'd you get this cigar? This cigar, people cannot get it. It's called Cigar for the Kings. Only King smoked a cigar. And he says, oh, it was the King Abdullah, because he knew he was there at the hotel, right? So I says, yeah. He says, give it to me. And he took it from me. And I said, well, give me a couple boxes. I said, you don't have any boxes, but I'll take the cigar from you. You can pick any cigar you want, Cuban, any cigars you want. But I'm going to keep this because I always wanted to smoke one, and I never smoked one.
By the way, terrible service for a cigar.
So I didn't take any cigar from him, so I gave it to him. And I went to my room, and I'm wondering, I said, I'm going to get a hold of my hand of some of these cigars. And I walked into my room. My wife said, somebody dropped you this box. They drop off the box that it was full of El Septimo cigars, right? Aww. So anyway, we start smoking them, and there were a lot. There were 10 boxes. Each box had 20 cigars. So we start smoking it during our trip. We came home. We start smoking it, and I've been smoking with my wife since I married her, 34 years. We love smoking together.
Great woman, by the way.
Yeah, we talk about
so cool.
kids. We talk about life. It's a moment that we can reflect, and our soul is clean. We have patience. We talk. We listen to each other. And so we start smoking it. So one day we ran out of them, obviously. One day I'm walking outside with 2 cigars in my hand. My wife says, where's El Septimo? I said, well, I don't have El Septimo, but I have this great Cuban cigar. She says, no, I don't want to smoke it. I says, oh, come on, stop being bougie. I mean, Jesus Christ. We don't have that cigar, so what? Let's smoke this damn Cuban. That's supposed to be the best cigar on the board. She says, no, thank you. I'll pass. At that time, I realized there's something special about the cigar. I tried to buy it directly, but I could have never get any because they were pre-ordered for years by, royal family of Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, UAE. They only sell it for them, right? And one day I'm actually in Paris, right? And I asked my wife, I said, hey, I'm coming home. Do you want any cigars? And I mean, do you want anything? She says, no. I thought she was going to ask for a purse or something. She says, no. But if you want to bring me something, bring me some El Septimo cigar. I say, here it goes again, El Septimo cigar. So when we sat in the aircraft, I told the guy, I said, go to Geneva. He says, we can't go to Geneva if you don't have a tel number. Because when you travel, you have to have a tel number before you land, all right? They have to schedule the lands. I said,
This is rich boy stuff.
Yo, when he said this to me, I was saying, hey, man, by the way, I'm kind of, you shouldn't be saying this on the podcast.
Well, I will.
But you should do it because you can get away with it.
Not only that, because as Steve said, in this life, we are always afraid of one thing, Lord himself, no other human being. So I said to the guy, to the pilot, I says, get on the plane, go to Geneva, right in the air, do a SOS call. He said, I will never do that. I said, well, why? You're on my payroll. Why do you care? He says, no, I will never do it. I will lose my license. I have to pay the fee. I said, take care of your fee. I will lose my license. I said, you sit home, you get your pay, and you don't have to fly anywhere, right? He says, okay, but this liability is on you. So anyway, we did the SOS call without any question. They said, land, and when you land, you do the SOS call, the technician comes in, you say, I saw this problem, either he finds it, he doesn't find it, right? So I went to the place that the head office of this cigar company was. I sat outside, I said, look for this guy, short guy, bald-headed guy, nothing personal, bald-headed guy. Wow. I said, as soon as he comes out,
I got drugged into the story.
I said, as soon as he comes out, bring him out here. The guy comes in, and one of my attorney, which is a French guy, for French, he's really tall. This guy is trying to bring this short guy to me, and he doesn't want to go. So I don't want to meet this American guy.
By the way, you skipped the fact that at the restaurant, he brought the table and service outside so he could watch when he comes out of the building.
Well, it was
like a psychopath.
It was December, and this is a 2 Michelin star restaurant in Geneva, right? So when we walked in, we said, that you couldn't see from the inside. I says, do you mind putting a table outside? He says, sir, this is not a Taco Bell. This is a Michelin star restaurant. No table outside. I said, call the owner. Owner came in, which was a chef. He knew who I was, so he immediately said, Mr. Yona, I want to put something. It's cold. I don't have any heat. I said, don't worry about it. Bring us some champagne. That will heat us up. So I want to sit outside. I didn't want to miss this guy, right? My wife never asked me for anything, right? Except this. I would have said damn, but it's not a damn. It's a great cigar, right? So,
I love this guy so much.
No, honest to God, it's a great cigar. So anyway, the guy came in. I had a dinner with him. First, he didn't want to talk to us. He didn't want to associate with us. He thought that we were gang and we want to do something to this guy, right? We made him feel comfortable. I gave him a piece of paper. I says, tell me what you want. I want the cigar company. He wrote it down. We made a deal. I bought the company that night, I had some cash with me. I gave it to him. I said, just deposit. Tomorrow we're going to wire transfer the money, be sold. And then after we finish, midnight, I said, now let's go back to your office. He said, why? Office is closed. I said, my office should be open for me. I go upstairs.
Are you serious?
I go upstairs because they had a showroom in there.
Wait,
so I picked two boxes of every cigar. I told my guy, I says, cancel our flight. We'll fly tomorrow afternoon. Upgrade my room to a room that has a balcony. And I took like 80 boxes with me. I went to this room. I told the people, I says, don't call me for breakfast. Don't call me for lunch. I'll meet you at 4 o'clock. We're going to go to the airport, right? I opened the window. I laid all the cigar on the bed. I pulled them out. I touched them. I felt them. I smelled them. I looked at him, and I smoked from 1 a.m. to 4 p.m. the following day these cigars.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I went home, I got my wife what she wanted, El Septimo cigars.
Wow, that is a story.
That's the dopest story.
I mean, that's how I met. That's how I met Steve. Steve,
You waited outside of his house too. He goes, Steve, I want to talk to you real quick.
Steve, one day.
But he bought the company.
Yeah.
That's what I want the cigar. No, I cannot sell. Okay, cool. Here go a check now. Open my office tomorrow. That's the story I'm living for.
That's so
It reminds me a long time ago when I used to work for GM. I was the president of Oldsmobile division. I was talking to the chairman, Jack Smith, back then. And the chairman one day told me, he says, one of my dreams is to buy Opel. I said, why would you want Opel? He says, Opel is very well respected European car. and they have a good market share. It's difficult for us to go establish ourselves out there. I said, oh, okay. I said, hey, by the way, I got to go to Germany next week. You need anything? He says, no. So I flew to Germany. I went to the Opel headquarters, right? So I went to the Opel headquarters. They knew who I was, so they let me in. I met the chairman, a German guy. I met the chairman. I said, we want to buy your company. He get up, he opened the door. He said, Mr. Yonan, as American people say, get the fuck out of here.
No way.
I said, I will, but you got to listen to me. You have two choices. Choice number one, sell Opel to me. Or choice number two, I'm going to flood German market with our Chevy cars, and I'm going to price them half the price. I swear to you, you wouldn't sell a single goddamn Opel. I'll wait for a year and a half. Based on your balance sheet and your P&L, you go bankrupt exactly on the 13th month. At 13 months, I'm going to come take over your company. I have to pay a single penny for it, and you're going to lose your job. So you have a choice of selling it to me or selling it to me. Which one do you want? He closed the door. He came, he sat down. He says, you American, everything is with the force. I says, no, it's not with the force, it's with the love. But it comes forcefully, right?
Just a
so I bought
little bit.
the company anyway. That's the story with Opel.
Well, here's the moral to the story.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, one day I'm sitting in my office.
I got it for you.
He goes, Steve sometimes goes to this cigar lounge where he lives, right, in Atlanta, and he smokes a cigar. So this cigar shop owner always calls me, and I always ignore his calls, right? I mean, how much am I going to talk to this guy, right? So one day he calls me, I ignore me. He says, don't ignore me, you're going to pick up the phone. I have Steve Harvey here. He wants to tell you how much he loves your cigar. And I've never met Steve Harvey before that. And apparently Steve Harvey went in there. He gave Steve Harvey El Septimo cigar, and he says, try it. And Steve Harvey's been smoking cigar for a long time. He smoked the best of the best. He smoked the El Septimo, and he says, oh, my God, this is a great cigar. And it was Zaya, Connecticut. And he says, I want to talk to this guy, right? And that's your favorite cigar.
Yeah, it's my favorite cigar.
Zaya, Connecticut.
Really?
Everybody, George Janko and Steve Harvey, El Septimo, Zaya, Connecticut.
So here's the moral to this story. Guy, wife wants a cigar. He buys a cigar company. Then he walks in and he buys a car company. You don't think you need to try Christ?
Exactly.
You don't think you ought to give Christ a shot?
I don't know, man. When he speaks about God, he's like all like happy and loving. When he talks about business, he looks like De Niro. He goes,
I was thinking that.
Yeah, I told the guy, write it down. Your kid's in the van. You want to see a kid? Steve, you walked away from stand-up comedy, and the last special that you were working on was He Ain't Through With Me Yet.
Yeah.
What's he going through with you now?
Wow. You know, this is the first time in my life over the past year and a half that I finally understood the Lord's Prayer.
Wow.
You are a baby Christian.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, you know, it took me to not only to, I've understood it, but I didn't apply it.
Okay.
Give us this day our daily bread. Wow. That removed all anxiety from my life.
Amen.
Anxiety is the loss of control, concern over two things that you cannot control. This is what anxiety is. The worry of the two things you can't control, your past and your future. That produces anxiety. Once I understood that we are built to live in 24-hour segments, the human mind is not built to live beyond today. You can have your dreams and you can plan, but you lay out your dreams and your plans and you set them down. It takes everything to get through today. And you got to let God order your steps on a daily basis. When you do that, it gives you an uncommon peace. I live in a peaceful place now, man, that I've never lived in my life because, first of all, he's going to take care of me tomorrow because he always has. Amen. I cannot think of one incident where he left me hanging. Wow. Not one. So now I live my life knowing that he got me tomorrow. I live my life knowing that my past belongs to history, that everything I did, all those mistakes I made, I don't got to beat myself up about them. He's either forgiven me, I've learned my mistake, I've moved on, I've become who I need to be. So understanding the Lord's Prayer, but then applying it is two different things.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to church and memorize scriptures, don't apply none of them. Why are you a Christian and you broke all the time? Why are you a Christian and you always in some type of pain? Why are you a Christian and ain't none of your relationships working? Why are you a Christian and ain't none of your dreams and aspirations coming to fruition? It's because you're learning, you're memorizing scriptures, but you're not applying them. Once I applied, give us this day our daily bread, it freed me to live today in complete peace and enjoy the moment. I did something in Paris that I wouldn't have done 5 years ago. I did something for my wife because I normally, you know, I do stuff. If I strike a deal, here's the reward, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. My wife wanted something. It wasn't that big a deal, but it was, nobody could find it. And somebody found it, but it had a little premium price on it. So I did it without the deal or nothing. And she said, Steve, I thought you were going to wait until you got a deal. He going to give me a deal.
Good for you.
He going to give me a deal. When has he not given me a deal? When have we ever just been out completely? You know what they say, ass out. Bro, I can't remember the last time I've been ass out, because he always supplies your needs for this day. And that coming to that understanding, man, completely put me at peace, where like I come down here, he just told me about this podcast, but I asked God to order my steps. My wife said, Steve, you going to LA for what? I said, I'm going to meet my buddy, Zaya, and she said, for what? I said, I don't really know. She said, from Paris? So you're going to go from Paris to LA? We can go to Atlanta. We can go home. What are you doing? I said, I'm going out there. She said, Steve, what is it? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. We've been talking, and as we said, then he started revealing it to me. I just told my oldest son to come with me because he's my guy. My son stays with me, man.
Yeah.
He covers my back. He watches stuff for me.
That's beautiful.
He don't let nobody. He watch everybody. Then my dad, because I got to move differently. I just bought my son because he has a memory. He knows technology. He memorized everything. So I bought him with me. And to sit down with this man, because faith is belief in things that you cannot see.
Yeah.
And so you ain't got to see everything. Yeah. You just got to have the belief. I mean, why would God have me come out here? Now, little did I know, I didn't know this until yesterday. He said, if I get a chance, I want you to do this podcast with me. But it's going to be talking about Christ. Okay, cool. So, bro, we over here at your place. Dog, now my son knows who you are. He's a fan.
Thank you. I appreciate
You understand? It. So he said, Dad, this dude right here is dope. You're going to love him because he talk your language. But this guy is so spiritual, but he's like the combination that I am. My mother was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. She taught me nothing but faith. My father was just a dude, man. He was just a gangster. My father was a man. Fight, dog. When they bite you, bite back. Yeah. They swing at you, swing back. That's why I don't, the turn the other cheek thing,
it's a reflex when you have the jab.
If you slap me, I'll turn the other cheek, but when I come around, you really don't need to be there. When I spin back around, I'm coming back with some more heat for you.
You know, Steve and I is going to do something together, and I figure the best way of doing it is by blessing. Blessing to come here because I'm so inspired by you. For a young man your age to have a mission, to let us see a light of better life. And you are probably 1/3 of my age, you have to educate us about it. It's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, man.
And you have a lot in common with Steve. Steve is a man of a God, man of a faith. I mean, this is a guy that brings boys and girls that are either dislocated or don't come from a good background or family. He teaches them how to live, how to change themselves. He has done it. How many boys and girls
How many sons?
33,400 children. He's been a father to 3,400 kids. Where he brings them, he pays for the air travel, he pays for the lodging, for the food. He talks to them. He tries to motivate them. He's trying to be a father for them, a perfect father for them that unfortunately they didn't have. Right? And these kids become teachers, engineers, firemen, scientists, servicemen, serves our country. You know, and he takes them from the streets. And he shows them there is a better life waiting for them. All they have to do is open a door. And I felt that whatever we do together, we need to have a blessing of a God. You know, a long time ago, somebody told me that when you ate your first meal, a good meal in your life, did you give piece of it to someone? And I remember a very first time that I had my first good meal in my lifetime was when I graduated and I was working for General Motors. I was fortunate enough, invented a few things. I went up the stairs. So the General Motors asked me for the dinner. And it was the first time I had steak in my life. I never had steak in my life, right? And I remember back then, which I totally forgot about it, and I saw a family come in, and you could tell the family was looking at the menu in this restaurant. It was somebody's birthday or something. And I said to the waitress, I said, please, I'll pay their tab. And I says, don't bring my food. And we were there before them. I says, don't bring my food till you bring theirs. I want them to take the first bite before I take my first bite.
Wow.
Amen.
And that's what we're doing today. We're trying to do something that should have been done a long time ago. Bring America back to what it was 40, 50, 60 years ago, where there was no division. There was brotherhood, sisterhood, neighbors loved each other.
Yeah, the house wasn't divided.
The house wasn't divided, right? I remember the incident a couple of weeks ago. A guy shot another guy because he parked in front of his car, right? You heard about that in California, right? Man, you know, where all days America, you can park anywhere you want, and sometimes your neighbor will come clean your car if you have too much snow on it. Right? So something happened to us, right? And with this podcast that you're doing, I think we are finding our ways to go back to those and changing our ways. So I figured before we do something, we need to be blessed by God. If you're going to be blessed by God, we got to do something good for God, right?
You know,
because people like you are ways of God.
Because, you know, what he's saying about you is right, man. You're a special dude, man, because you don't see a lot of cats willing to talk about faith in God. You know, it's like a secondary thing for most people, or it's a hidden thing. People are ashamed of it, you know. Like my mother, when I was a little boy, she used to tell me going out the door to school, oftentimes, not every day, but she said, boy, remember this, you different. She said, I don't know what you are, but you different. She said, God gonna give you a big house up on the hill one day. When you get that house up on the hill, you got to show some other people how to get up on that hill too.
Wow.
She said you have to. Now, ironic, the big house I live in today is on a hill.
Wow.
I don't think it's ironic at all.
And you know, it made me cry when I bought this house 5 years ago, because it was I could hear my mother. Now, my mother's gone, right? But I could hear her saying, one day, God gonna give you a big house up on the hill. You can't get up on that hill and don't show nobody else how to get there.
What a blessing. She blessed you back then.
That's crazy, man.
And you know, it's crazy to me is that you guys said some kind words to me, but like even your son even acknowledging my work is crazy, because I mean it when my mom used to pull me aside and say that. So you did show me where the hill was. And I was like, okay, cool. I could be where he's at and not forget about the guy who brought me here.
Exactly.
And so I was just like honest, and I just talked about stuff on stage. If I'm doing stand-up, I'm telling them like my perspective, and I'm not hiding it. And, you know, I think of when you say your mom teaches you, remember them when you're at the top of the hill. But I also remember the Bible verse where God is so generous and he's telling everybody, come to the banquet. Come. And people are like, no. And then they'll go to the homeless and say, come to the banquet. And he kept saying, there's so much room at the table. And so if I truly believe in this God that's filling my cup and filling my plate, if I believe that he could do it for me, then what kind of man would I be if I couldn't go run to my neighbors and say, come eat, come drink? Like,
Yeah.
it's for all of us. It's not just for me. And I think I pray that when I'm your guys' age and I keep moving, that I don't forget this and I keep moving in that direction. I guess the question that I have to spit back at you guys is, prosperity can get twisted sometimes when they think that we're just preaching a prosperity gospel, like God's going to bless you, and then people get upset with this. It's usually broken Christians or broke Christians get angry at this. But the way I think of it is that these two hands, if I use them right, are going to be God's hands on earth. And if he's going to bless me with something and he knows my heart is to give it to my neighbor, I think he's going to give me the opportunity, the wisdom, the faith, the knowledge to be able to do it. I think people that get mad at the prosperity gospel, they don't know God. Because I can't even think of any place or position in my life that I invited the Lord in and it got darker. I don't
Exactly.
see that.
Yeah.
So my argument is, where did you bring God that you did not prosper in?
I don't, man, I understand what you're saying because I hear people talk about it all the time. Like, went viral one time when I was talking about 8 hours of sleep. And I was just saying, if you have plans of becoming rich one day, you got to scrap that 8 hours of sleep thing. You got to throw that out the window.
How much do you sleep?
Well, now I can get 8 hours of sleep.
But he didn't before, right?
But I don't. But I could get 8 if I wanted it now, but I still don't. But the reason I said you can't do that, because if you sleep 8 hours, that's a third of your life.
Exactly.
And you can't become highly successful functioning and you're asleep a third of your life. Look, you dream when you sleep. You make your dreams come true when you awake and you hustling. And they ate me up online. There was a Steve Harvey prefers wealth over health. No, man. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's a scripture that says, money answereth all things. Now, it didn't say it was the answer. It just allows you to respond. It don't, look, if you ain't got no money and you go home and there's an eviction notice on your door and you have no money, you can't respond to that. But if you got a year's salary in the bank, you can go say, hey, look, let me fix this eviction notice. I can give you my back rent and I'll pay you 2 months ahead if you let me stay here. Money allows you to respond. It don't make you happy. It's not the answer to everything, but it allows you to respond. Money, man, makes all emergencies become mere inconveniences. That's what it is. And, man, my father told me something so cold when I was young because he was really poor. He said, son, the best thing you could do for poor people is not be one of them. He said, because you can't help nobody now. So you got to find a way to get yourself some money so you can help some people. And me and Zaya was talking earlier, man, and I was just telling him, man, you can't. Money doesn't change you. Money allows you to be more of who you really are. See,
it heightens who you are.
Bro, if you're a stingy person,
Be more stingy.
when you get a lot of money, you're going to be more stingy.
Yeah.
If you're a kind person, when you get a lot of money, you'll be more kind. If you're a generous person, when you're broke, when you get money, you'll become an even more generous person.
So true.
If you're an asshole, when you get a lot of money, you're going to be a big asshole.
It's a tool. Money is a tool, right? When you are poor and you work hard and you have the blessing of the God and you have something, the first thing you do, you satisfy yourself, right?
Right.
You eat the food you never ate.
Right.
You buy yourself clothes you never had. But at that time, you know that you have more of it. And as Steve said, if you're generous, you use it as a tool for generosity. If you can't, use it as a tool for kindness, right? So money's not everything. Money is a tool, right? That's why when people sometimes talks about someone that has money, that person prefers people talk to about him, about what kind of human he is, what kind of generous person he is, what kind of intelligent person he is. For some people that label themselves with the money, that is a wrong way of thinking about it. That is a wrong thing.
Can I tell you something? Like of late, I've been reading about Jeff Bezos' wedding.
Yeah.
at Jeff Bezos, and it's $55 million. And how many people are mad at him for spending $55 million for a wedding? That's a lot of money for a wedding, but that's his money. Now, nobody's mentioning how many jobs that Amazon has created around the world. Nobody mentioned how many people have benefited from the use of Amazon and some of the prices that you can get on Amazon. Nobody cared about that. They just mad at him because he spent 50. You know how many people you could have fed? $55 million ain't gonna feed everybody, no way. And I understand when people, but don't be upset with Jeff Bezos because he took $55 million of his dollars that he worked really hard to acquire. I don't understand the anger in people. Yeah, he could have. $55 million could have built a few homeless shelters, right? But that ain't gonna solve the problem. I think, man, when you preach and people are talking about prosperity, they're trying to get you to, instead of put a Band-Aid on something, they're trying to get you to, look, instead of giving them a fish sandwich, teach a person how to fish. You hear that 1,000 times.
Yeah, of course.
Teach a man how to fish.
So, look, man, there's nothing wrong. You don't, look.
But also, Steve, Jeff has given billions of dollars.
They don't mention that.
Actually, his first wife,
That's who he gave all that money to first time.
No.
That was his first donation.
Yeah, but his first wife, who inherited, from the divorce, who got $18 billion, she gave $16 billion of it away to people.
Wow.
Over 90%, of course, over 90% of it for causes, for various causes. And Jeff is actually a great person that he never talks about how much money he has given other people, because he has. I know he has. He has done a lot of it.
Well, see,
he
has too.
Yeah.
This hand shouldn't know what this hand gives.
Exactly.
But you can't do that. You know,
Yeah,
I don't.
because you need a tabloid to defend you.
Yeah,
now
man.
or
See,
exactly.
if I open my mouth to tell you everything I've done for everybody, oh, he bragging about this, he bragging about that, it's okay. But you have to wonder though, why does God continue to keep blessing people with more and more?
Exactly.
Because you have done so much good with it that the more he gives you, the more you can bless people with. And it's okay, man. I'm not, look.
And you should celebrate it. You should celebrate the fact that Jeff has that. He earned it himself. Nobody gave it to him. What he did, I couldn't do, obviously. I didn't think about all the things he thought about, right? And Jeff went through tremendous difficult process to be where he is. Like something smart Harvey said, if God would have told Jeff, hey, I'm gonna give you the $200 billion you want, you have to go through all of this difficulty, he might have said, no, I don't want to do that.
I'm gonna keep being in the garage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he did it. But I think one advice I always have for people, if someone is wealthy, you should celebrate that. He didn't inherit that wealth. He created it himself. And the question you need to ask yourself is, how can I be like that person? I used to do that. I used to always say, how can I be like that person, right? I used to study that person, and I want to be like them, right? But wealth should be celebrated. But you're right, today there's so much negativity, Why is he has that expensive watch or that expensive car? He could be feeding a lot of people with it, Well, why don't you go get a second job and put all that money and feed people, right? Because you could feed people at any element, right?
Right.
And it's funny that those people that criticize those people,
They don't do anything.
not only they don't do anything, I could bet with you that if one day they become billionaire, they wouldn't share a single penny with anybody
But
else.
you know, man, look, it don't take a lot of money to be happy. You can be happy at any level. You don't have to be a millionaire to be happy. I know a lot of rich people who are miserable.
Yeah, actually, I know a lot more miserable rich
I know
people
some
than
very, very miserable people who are financially well off. So that's not it. I found my contentment in what I've been able to do for others so much, whether it's talked about or not. I know, and God knows what I've done. So I'm okay with it being right there.
And I didn't know you impacted 3,400 children. I just did not know that. And I was shocked when your son told me about that. 3,000. I feel bad, actually. I'm close to his age, right? I feel bad that I haven't done that, actually.
Honestly, I was going to talk to you about this. After
each
that.
have-
What's going on?
I feel bad that I haven't done that, right?
You each have your own different mission.
But I bet he has, how many employees do you have?
About 27,000.
Hello. You've affected. let's just back this thing up a minute, man. My calling is them kids. He got 27,000 people that's got jobs, that's feeding families,
Yeah,
that's
putting bread on the
bringing
table.
a big change in a lot of people's lives. Let me tell you 2 very short stories about the program that I have. 2 of my favorite stories. A kid named Kendall came to the camp. He's 30 now. He came to the camp when he was 16. He was a gangbanger. Him and this boy, he was from Atlanta, this other boy from Chicago, red, blue. They was banging. We broke them up every 15 minutes. They be playing basketball, they go at each other. They start fighting, man. They was battling, them cats. So I set them down, man. I finally talked to the kids. I said, because my camp only covers 2 things with the boys, the principles of manhood and how to make your dreams come true. Because my dream came true, and I know how to make a dream come true. I know how you get there. So I teach them how to make your dreams come true and the principles of manhood. That's all the camp is about.
It's so powerful.
Everything your mom sent you out to do about the hill.
Everything is based on those 2 things.
Yeah.
So Kendall and this other boy, they thumping, man. So I set Kendall down. I said, look, man, you got to change your life. The camp is over. I'm doing Family Feud. I look out. He's in the audience. And this was, a long time ago. This is when they first started twisting their hair, 15 years ago, 20. And so he said, Mr. Harvey, I want to come back to the camp and be a junior counselor. I said, well, hey, man, junior counselor, you got to get a haircut. I was so wrong about dreads back then. I didn't know. So, I'm an old dude. Yeah. So he comes to Family Feud 3 days later with his mom. He's got a haircut.
Good for him. So
I'm talking to the kid. I found out his dreams and everything. I end up sending him to college. The gangbanger from Chicago, my talk show moved to Chicago, I sent him to college. Kendall graduated from college and is an engineer today.
Oh, my God.
And never misses the camp. He's at the camp every year organizing, talking with the boys. He's a counselor for me. And the other kid, Torrin, runs the camp with my son now. The boy from Chicago, he didn't make it. He's in jail today. I sent him to college. He went to college, got in trouble. He's in jail today. Kendall is an engineer. 5 years ago, kid comes to my camp, failing in school. I said, hey, man, what do you want to be? Well, let's get into these dreams. I want to fly airplanes. I call a buddy of mine, pilot from Hartsfield at Delta. He comes down to the camp, talks to the kid, asks him about his grades. He said, I don't have good grades. He said, if you want to fly a plane, you got to be good at science and math. He took him up to Atlanta, put him on a flight simulator, showed the kid how to flight simulator. This kid goes back to school, gets all A's and B's.
Same kid.
Same kid.
He needed a little fire.
Kid says, Mr. Harvey, I don't have the money to go I wanted to flight school. I paid for his flight school. This past year, not this year, but last year, he flew a plane and landed at the Thomasville airport himself, filmed it and everything. He's a pilot now. He landed, got out, drove, and was one of the keynote speakers at the camp.
Wow.
So that's what this program does.
What's the name of the program?
Steve Harvey Mentoring Camp for boys.
And this is a program that I think, of course, we need far more than of it. And not only this guy funds it with his own money, but he spent a lot of times doing it. Look, parenting is difficult. I have 5 kids, right? And I spend most of my time trying to parent. This guy not only parents his own kids, he parents all these other kids. And I think there should be a government support. Our government should be supporting this.
1,000,000%, yeah.
Exactly. Our government sometimes is so obsessed with cutting things, right? You have to know what you cut, right? You cannot cut something that adds value to the society.
Brother, they don't. This guy, Elon Musk, came in here and just started cutting stuff. So let me tell you what happened to my program. The United States Army has been coming to my camp since I started it because they have the programming. They know how to move that many boys, 250 boys sometimes. They know how to move that many kids, and they know how to do team building stuff, create brotherhood and discipline. So Elon Musk comes in, wipes out the DEI programs. So they considered my program a DEI program. So this year, the military was taken from me. The funding that the military was giving me was taken from the program because Elon Musk came and said, that's a DEI program. Well, the soldiers that have been helping me for all these years, a lot of them took their vacation
Wow.
during the camp and volunteered. So I had the same amount of military men, but they couldn't wear their,
Uniforms.
Right.
but they came, and then they put their dress uniforms on for the graduation for the ceremony. And then something else happened. And then I lost this program with the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture. I had an agricultural program going on where they were going to help me build the dormitories because I was going to do an agriculture program because I got 1,600 acres that I bought to give to the camp for the kids. They took all of that away. So all of that, the loans and stuff that I had to build the dorms, all of that went away today. But it didn't stop the program. I still had the program. I still housed the boys down the street at the college because a college came in and volunteered this year for the housing instead of me putting up tents. And I just told him the story today, and he just latched on to it, and he just learned what it was about. And, man, that's part of you can't get up on the hill and don't show nobody else how to get there. So having money for me, as Zion said, has been a tool. Now, do I have some nice things? Yes.
And
Have I been
should.
blessed to have an incredible lifestyle for my family? Yes.
And you should.
Have I exposed them to travel and stuff like that? Yeah.
And you should.
Because I'm trying to leave a legacy of 3 sons that will take their families from zero to hero. And when I die, I want my sons to take over however they want to do and run a company and a business to take care of their family and their kids. And I have the program on Father's Day week because all the boys I bring into the program are from single-parent homes headed up by women. So I have it every Father's Day weekend. I sacrifice my Father's Day with my kids, and they understand that. And they go, we don't have our dad on Father's Day because he's being a father to a couple hundred boys that ain't got none. But they leave here with a mentor from the military. A lot of different fraternities come down and volunteer. And all the boys leave with a phone number and a mentor and relationships, and we follow the kids with aftercare programs. We've turned out engineers, lawyers. We have about 8 ministers from this program that have become ministers because we have a spiritual element to this thing too. And it's just been a wonderful program.
And this is, I'm sorry, Bill, you were going to say something. Don't forget, this is really embarrassing for us as a country. This is embarrassing for us as a country. As a most modern nation, most advanced nation, most established nation, we give more than $1 trillion to other countries for various reasons, right? $1 trillion a year we give to other countries for various reasons, right? Yet we don't have small amount of that dedicated to the American who deserve a better life, American who live in this country. And this is what bothers us. And this is what we talked about in the last show. Yeah. Which is funny. We talked about it in your show, and next day Elon Musk got fired. Isn't that funny?
Everybody kept telling me, like, dude, what a time to post this video.
Exactly.
I was like, damn.
So Elon, be careful. Don't come after George. Huh? I'm his uncle. So if you have an issue, come talk to me, right?
Yeah, talk to Unks.
Yeah, exactly. But
and Steve's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I just met you. I just met you.
I didn't listen at all.
He didn't say anything, right? But here's a point. Actually, people should write a letter to some organization. I think there should be a letter coming from your audience if they really believe in this beautiful cause. This man fathered 3,400 boys and girls, and he spent time on them, feeding them, educating them. He took time from his own life, from his own children, from his own family, being a father. And his wife is also very much involved with this. Yeah. Him being a father to the kids that did not have a father role, and his wife being a mother to the kids that didn't have one. So I think you should actually receive these letters from your audiences. It should be a call for action. Yeah. It should be a call for action. Look,
we need to pour hope back into this country.
Well, hope, of course we need to do that, but also bring something to this cause, right? Something to this cause where people should object. This is our taxpayer. Government, those damn politicians, right? They didn't earn all of these monies that the budget of this country is running. It's us, we taxpayer, right? So we should have a right to tell the government how to use that taxpayer. And this is something that has been absent. It's not happening. But for Elon Musk, our government, to cut all of these small funding for such a huge contribution is definitely error. It shouldn't be done. And we should reverse that, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of mentoring, please. You
yeah.
were actually
Bella
gonna
had
say
a
something
question,
before
yeah.
you-
Sorry, no, because I want to point out how beautiful it is what you're doing, because I think that you're teaching them fundamental values that we should be learning in school when you think about it, right? How do we go out in society and be able to succeed? You're teaching these men how to be real men. And even hearing you say you have an agriculture program, I mean, for us to be able to tend to and be able to feed ourselves if we need to, feed
Learn
our
how to do
families.
that, yeah.
Yes, it's so important, right? That's priceless. So how did you how did you even come up with the idea to start this organization?
Well, my father died when I was 43. So it's been like, a long time ago. And I was telling Yonan, when I was sitting at his funeral and that casket was open, I was looking at the coldest dude I ever met. And I was just tears, and I got on the jet and I'm flying back to LA. And I was sitting on the plane looking out the window and I go, man, how would I have ever made it without that dude? There's no way I could have made it without him. And I began to think, I said, man, how do boys make it that ain't got that father figure? Because a young boy without a father figure is like an explorer without a map. You don't know the way, man.
Exactly.
So I said, hold up, man. So I had a ranch in Dallas. So I said, wow, you know what? I'm gonna start mentoring these kids. I'm gonna just go. And so, I created the program, and it's always been just two things: dream building and manhood. That's all I need you to do. I don't care what you do. Just as long as you turn out to be a good man and understand that real men honor God, real men respect the law, real men respect and honor women, real men take care of their children. And all of these boys who don't have a father, we have a service. What's that ceremony called that we do at the end on Saturday night? Conversations with my father. We allow these boys to get out what they feel about their father. It's the most emotional ceremony. It's the night before.
Wow.
The soldiers are crying. The
got my wife
boys
crying.
are crying. The mentors are crying because these kids is hurting without this dude, man. I saw somebody say one time, a boy without a father has a hole in his soul the shape of his father.
Wow.
He missed that dude. He never came to my games. He forget my birthday. He don't pick me up when he say he coming. He ain't never bought me a Christmas gift. I ain't got nobody. And these boys is crying. And they filling out paperwork. They calling him names. Name one word to describe your father. I mean, man, you hear some vulgar stuff coming out these cats' mouth. But they're hurting. They're hurting. And so this program was designed to give them a father figure, a real conversation with men who know the way, a chance to get a mentor from the program, a chance to link in with other boys and understand, because a lot of these soldiers didn't have dads in their life for whatever reason. And so now they can understand, you can make it without this. It's going to be hard, but here's my number, man. So when you have a problem about these dreams you have in at night, and you don't understand why this is happening to your body, you can't ask your mother about that. How do I talk to girls? Your mother don't know. A woman can make a boy a good citizen, God-fearing, loyal, respectful, courteous. What she cannot do is turn him into a man. There is nothing she knows about this. And so this program, and my wife does girls, but I do boys because we need to turn out better men, and that's what the program does. And it was the death of my father that brought this whole program about.
Do you have some type of fund, a program that people can contribute toward this program?
Yeah, we got that every year. Last year, Dr. Phil came and did a documentary on it, a 2-hour documentary. It's the first person that's ever did anything. And it was big. And in that whole program, we raised $150,000.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not enough.
No,
That's
man.
not enough.
It
for
I
ain't.
was
this
about to
cause.
say,
Look,
$150,000 is his hourly rate to be
Look,
there.
man,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
build out this camp, I've figured it all out. $25 million, and I can build out the entire camp. The dormitories to sleep 300 boys. I got to put an indoor gymnasium to get them out of this summer heat sometimes. And the gymnasium, you got to have athletics to keep boys' attention. Yeah. Then I need a 500-seat theater where they can do lectures and listen to lectures and watch movies and stuff. And then I want a STEM center to teach STEM coding and programming. And then the other building, I want to have a EAS sports complex. Because this gaming stuff that these kids is into that I thought was ridiculous, they're millionaires off this.
Yeah.
So if I keep them interested with this gaming and sports, I got enough room. I got baseball fields and football fields. I got all that. I got plenty of space for that. But I need the buildings where I can put it inside. And I'll get it done, you know. Yeah. I'll get it.
So, I mean, I know you're the mentor, right? And you teach them a lot of things, but what has these boys taught you?
That was a fire question.
They taught me purpose. They taught me purpose.
And they give you a purpose too.
That's why I'm here. Because of their need for me and men like me and men like him and men like you, they gave my life purpose. You know, the average person dies never knowing what they were born to do.
Exactly.
I'm clear about that. Because I have a saying, your career is what you paid for. Your calling is what you made for. God made me famous and well off for this mission.
Yeah.
He didn't make me famous for no other reason. He didn't give me wealth for no other reason, but for this mission right here.
And you give that back to the God by saving all these souls, which God cares about each and every one of them, right? You are giving a gift back to the God.
Yeah, there's a camp about 45 minutes from me. It's a Christian camp. They're in the soul-saving business. A guy named Dave Piedmont, great guy. And he was helping me, gave me the plans for the dorms free and stuff. And he was telling me about the camp, and he said, Steve, you got to talk more about Christ. I said, yeah, we have a program for Christ. I said, but that ain't what I do, man. I said, that's what you in the soul-saving business. I'm in the life-saving business.
There's a difference.
I gotta stop a kid from killing each other. I gotta stop a kid from selling dope.
That's what he designed you to do.
Yeah, I gotta stop a kid from wanting to be a shooter, a gangster. I'm in the life-saving business. Let me save their life first,
and then we can.
And then you go save their soul. But if I don't keep them alive, you got no soul to save. And finally, a few years ago, he looked at me and said, "Wow, yeah, you're in the life-saving business. I'm in the soul-saving business." Because, like I say, I'm a Christian. I just ain't that. You know, I can't teach you all the values of Christianity, because I'm still trying to master them myself. Like, I'm not in the turn the cheek business. I'm just not that dude, man. But you asked me about Katt. I'm still a warm person. I sit down with him, man. I really don't have a problem. I still haven't said anything negative about him. You know, I'm not that dude. That ain't where my head is at. I don't have time to get into this back and forth with you. I'm going somewhere. The saying is stay on the wall. Stay on the wall, man. When they throwing rocks at you, stay on the wall. Don't come down off the wall, because now you're slowing your ascent.
Yeah.
Don't come off the wall and get eye level with a hater. Just let them hate, but you stay on the wall. Yeah. That's why I never come off the wall to address it. I appreciate you asking me about it, but you asked me, would I sit with him? Would I be willing to? And that's what it is, man. I'll squash anything with anybody.
You're not afraid of it. You'll run with it, but you're not going to run to it if God's putting you in a place to be.
And I think he needs to actually sit with the God and come closer to the God before he sits with him, right? Because no human can be fixed by someone else until they want to fix themselves, right?
Yeah,
I always wonder, what is the reason for hatred, right? What is the reason of people getting keyboard warriors, right? They're getting and they put in bad comments about, if you don't have anything good to say nothing, right? Anyway, if you put a bad comment, they ignore you, they reject you, right? They're going to delete you, right? You want to be deleted or you want to be heard? If you want to be heard, you have to say something that people want to be inspired by what you say.
Let me ask you something. You know what you're doing. You're trying to do the right thing. But you get haters, man. What is that for you? How do you deal with it?
My honest thing is, before, when I used to consume my moments like worrying about it, I learned quickly that if I listen to them, that means I'm taking the time to not listen to God.
Exactly.
So I I know what God thinks of me and how he feels of me, and God knows that. Here's the truth. I know sometimes when I look in the mirror, I hate myself because I am failing God, I'm failing my mission. And then there's sometimes I look in the mirror and I love myself. So I can't be too concerned if God put me in a place where so many people are watching me. There's going to be times that they hate me. There's going to be times that they love me. But it's not my concern. My concern is to finish the job and finish the race.
Yeah,
right?
but bro, let me help you something. You ain't failing the mission ever. You're in the process. You're processing, man. You ain't there yet. We all fall short of the glory of God. A guy told me a story one day. Three Christians on the boat, and they're 1,000 yards out. And one of them jumps in the water and he starts swimming, and he gets about 200 yards away and he sinks and he drowns. The second Christian jumps in the water and he swims 500 yards close to shore. He sinks and drowns. The other Christian gets in and he swims all the way to the shore, 6 feet, and he sinks and drowns. Which one was the better Christian? They all sank and drowned.
The one
You're in
who
the
went
process,
first?
brother.
No, can the process.
Bro, you in the process.
There's a riddle. I don't know.
No, I mean, look, we
you're
all fall short of the glory of God.
Yeah.
We are non-perfect, no, not one. You're not finna be proud. I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
I don't care how many times you do this podcast. Don't let the devil fool you, man, make you think you ain't accomplishing the mission. You're doing good, man. Look, my son know who you are. Do you know how many people you affect that you don't know nothing about?
Exactly.
That's why, man, you got to go out sometimes and you got to hear what people really saying about you. Because we sit behind these mics and behind them TV cameras and behind them desks, and 27,000 people. I bet you out of them 27,000 people, and a lot of people would say, hey, man, if it wasn't for this guy, my family would be hungry. If it wasn't for this car, I would have never bought a house. If it wasn't for this guy, I never would have found Christ. If it wasn't for this guy, that's who you got to hear. The haters is the imps. The devil got imps. They work 24/7. Yeah. And it's just a shame that some people is just on call 24/7.
Yeah.
I call them thumb gangsters. They just sitting there, they typing stuff.
Yeah.
But you're not even qualified to talk to me. You know, Jay-Z had I'm not a hip-hop guy at all, trust me. I'm a 70s dude. I'm stuck. I'm stuck, man. I'm R&B.
Hey, the 70s was a vibe.
Bruh, I'm R&B.
70s and 80s was like the best times to be around.
I'm in my soul. I can't move on. I was that ignorant little dude in 77. I was in college, and hip-hop, the hippity-hop. I heard that. I went, man, that ain't gonna last. The stupidest thing I've ever said. Hip-hop became the biggest music genre in the world, made more millionaires than anything. How wrong was I? But I heard Jay-Z say something to the effect that he said, hey, man, you ain't even in my league. We shooting at 2 different baskets. As a matter of fact, we pay 2 kinds of taxes. I mean, this dude says stuff like that. So when I'm moving...
Yeah, it's funny that I've learned more about Jay-Z from his like bars that he says, not even in his music, but in like interviews. Like one time he said, my presence is a present. And I was like, oh. I was like, that is,
hey man,
that's deep.
I saw him at the Louis Vuitton show, him and B. They came up to us when they were walking through and they spoke to us. And it was ironic because he only stopped and talked to 2 people, who he's sitting next to. And so we were waiting on our cars, and we got there late, and J and B was down there waiting on their cars. And I've known Jay for a long time. I've known Beyonce since she was 14.
Oh, my God.
She used to come and sing at the hip-hop comedy stop in Houston. Her father, who I knew, who's a frat brother, Matthew Knowles, used to bring Destiny's Child to this club to perform on amateur night.
No
and I was
way.
sitting there going,
Well, that's a wild
That's
thing to
crazy.
see blossom.
yeah, bro. And I'm saying, yeah, they cute. They need to get on out the way. I got to go tell these jokes. I'm finna make $250 tonight. So I don't know. I need to make this $250. Wait, come on, little girls. Hey, yeah, this is cute. He said, hey, man, these girls going to be stars. And I knew they were super talented back then. So I've been knowing them a long time. So I was standing there, and I put my hand on Jay's shoulder, and I said, hey, man, you know what you need to know right now? How important you are, the way you demonstrating yourself as a father. What you are sending the signal, Jay, as a father. Skip your musical career, skip the money you make. What he's doing as a father, do you know the message that sends out? He needs to hear stuff like that. You got to get out and hear it from a different perspective. Forget that. Like Beyonce posts stuff on her page. She don't even have a comment section. She could care less. She put her picture up. There's no comments. You know, and she got how many hundreds of millions of followers. But they've mastered that part. They keep their private life private and everything. You, man, you doing tremendous work. Don't ever think you falling short, man, because everybody the dude that swam 6 feet from shore, he still he ain't Christ. So, dog, we all come up short. Like, I say stuff all the time that ain't Christian-like. You know, I probably said something yesterday. I said something to one of the photographers that was, I was putting my wife in the car. Or I was on the red carpet one time with my wife. And the guy says, "Hey, Steve, lose the girl." I went, "What did you say?"
To your wife?
He said, "Lose the girl." I let my wife's hand go. She said, Steve, no. I walked up and I said, "Hey, man, this ain't no girl. What you mean lose the girl? This is my wife. This is the reason I'm even here. This is my everything." Don't ever say that to a person. "Well, I just want a picture of you." Hey, well, you don't get a picture of me. You got something. I'm in your ass right now. You feel me? And if you say something negative about it, this I'm gonna turn it into something else. I have the ability to slap you. I really, really do. And I have a strong desire to slap you. You just better be real grateful that I got enough God in me that keeps me from being who I used to be. Because who I used to be, man, oh, dog, I snatch your lips off your face with my mouth. I spit your bottom lip back on your cheek. Just like that. Bro. Yeah.
What a visual.
Yeah, you got that? Yeah.
I got that.
And we just said that on Gospel podcast.
So, but speaking of mentoring and bringing people up into the vibrations that we're feeling, what was it like? And was this a comedy bit, or was this like a true thing when you brought Mike to church? Is this like a real moment, or was this a comedy bit?
No, that really happened.
You brought Michael Jackson to church.
Bro, you can go on the internet and pull it up. Me and Mike were friends. When he was in that trouble, he said, "Man, I think I need to go to church." He had Ramon Baines was his publicist. Said, "Steve, Michael want to know if you'll take him to church." I called Chip Murray at the time, who was the pastor of AME Christian Church over in over off Crenshaw. I said, "Hey, man, Mike want to go to church." He said, "Michael who?" I said, "Michael Jackson. He wants to go to church." So I went to Mike's hotel. Mike had the whole Beverly Wilshire Hotel. He bought the whole floor and gutted it and remodeled it.
Oh, he lived there?
Yeah, because he got tired of driving from Neverland to go to court. So he bought the whole top floor, gutted it, and remodeled it, and made it his house.
Wow.
Oh, that's like next level.
And so when I came to his house to pick him up, he came to the elevator with a moped.
What?
He was riding the moped down the hallway.
What was he like as a human being?
Dog, he's one of the coolest people I've ever met. He's very smart. Way deeper than people know, man. He understood what they were doing to him. He got it, man. The dude was not stupid. So we go inside. This is a really event. And I'm waiting on him, and I said, so he came out dressed to go to church. And he had this suit on, this naval suit with this one stripe going down the leg. And I looked at Mike, I said, "Hey, man, where your suit at? You know, where your shirt? We going to church. You dressed like Captain Crunch." He said, "You're so crazy." No, man, the hell you got on, dog? It's Captain Crunch. And we get in the car, and he said, "Steve, I don't want anybody to know I'm coming." My man, we got off the freeway, off the 10 on Crenshaw. People were lined up all over the bridge, all down Crenshaw, turned the corner on Adams, all up at the church. Dog, we were driving 4 miles an hour. It was people everywhere. I don't know who found out he was coming to church, but I didn't tell a soul. And we went in that church, and church was packed. Me and Mike sitting there, the choir is up, and Mike is just jamming. He's jamming to the church. And so he went to church, so he went down to the kids' class because he loved kids. He sat down there with the kids who was talking to him. So the reporters are all outside. And he says, Steve, I don't want to talk to anybody. You go and talk for me. I said, all right, cool. So I go out there. It's 40 mics in front of me. Now, you all this online. It's 40 mics.
Like a press conference.
Yeah. It's
Just for this guy to go to church.
But Steve, we want to talk to Mike. Mike ain't talking. Steve, we don't want to talk to you. Hey, man, cool. You ain't got to talk to me. But you can't talk to Mike. He don't want to talk to y'all. Why did he ask you? I don't know. Can we ask him that? You can't ask him nothing. He's not talk. He didn't talk to nobody. And then we got in the car. He had this Bentley. And every time you get in his Bentley, he has you sign the seal in or something. His signature's all over this car.
Oh, cute.
I'm going, you've ruined this Bentley. This is the car I want. Who you letting write on this stuff? And so we're pulling off. And Mike, let me speak to the people. Let me wave at. I said, Mike, you can't put your hand out this window, dog. So Mike leans over me. So I told you, I said, man, lock his window, because Mike just friendly. He stick his hand out the way, dude, grabbed his hand, just pulling him out the window. I snatched Mike. I said, man, sit your ass down and stop. Act like you famous. And I rolled the window up. But Steve, the people, and they just mobbed him. That was a true story.
He loves he loves people.
Hey, man.
Can I ask you a personal question? And you don't have to answer this, but this is I want to make sure I say this out of respect. What they said about him and what he did, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it on so many occasions. But the one thing that makes my heart kind of like, and I've never told anybody this, I don't even know how to explain this, but when I was growing up, I was in a choir, and I was learning about high tenors. Mm-hmm. And when they were younger, in the olden days, when Jackson 5 was definitely around and killing it, that they castrated a young boy if he's really good and they want to keep his voice. And then now I'm understanding, as he's growing up and he's older and he still has a child's voice. Do you think he was castrated or
no? Mike had bad chicks, man. I don't know where y'all getting. He wasn't.
So he was dating chicks and because there's nothing besides his love life besides the bad stuff that they talked about.
Hey man, let me tell you something. Here's the one thing I'm really grateful for. That when I was out there, man, Kings of Comedy and all of that, man, there was no social media. Yeah. And no one had invented the phone camera.
Yeah. Oh, parties changed immediately
after that.
Bruh,
let me tell you something, man.
Worst Broadway. Worst invention. Of course.
It changed.
Made my career, but we'll discuss that one later. We'll discuss that. We'll tiptoe around that one.
My career? No.
Ruined your guys' parties. Gave me bread on my table.
Ruined our careers.
Oh, sorry about
because, man, Mike was, what he did, there's no footage of it. I'm telling you point blank, he had bad chicks, man. Bad chicks. I saw it myself. I was there. You know, we had a really, really cool relationship. I don't think this girl, Ramon Baines, who was his publicist, she don't get enough credit for the stuff she did in Michael Jackson's life. And she took care of Mike. He had a great chef named Kai Chase who took care of Mike, who really, really loved Mike and took care of him, man. I saw that was castrated. That's not true at all, man. This dude had bad chicks, man. It just ain't no record of it. Y'all don't know, man.
Yeah.
And so like,
I looked up to him growing up. That's why I even got an entertainment field because of the moonwalk.
He was such a cool dude, man. He was smooth, man. He knew how to talk. His conversation was deep. The problem Mike had was he hated that he missed his childhood.
Right.
And so he wanted to make sure that children had their childhood.
So, man, like, that's Neverland was all because he had a train that went around the whole 3,000 acres. He had all these animals and stuff because he never had a chance to see it.
So he's just reliving his childhood.
Farrakhan told him one time, he said, hey, man, you don't get to go back. He said, you sacrificed your childhood because you belong to the world. Minister Louis Farrakhan told him that.
What is a Farrakhan?
Huh?
What is a Farrakhan?
No, Minister Louis Farrakhan,
I'm sorry.
the head of the Nation of Islam. You know, he's a very powerful voice in the black community. You know, he gets accused of being anti-Semitic. I haven't heard those remarks. I just knew he was very, very pro-black, always talked to blacks about doing for themselves, standing on their own, you know, and Most black people understood that. He got beat up for other things, but I was never privy to that. But he just talked to Michael and told him how it was for him, you know.
Did you ever talk to him about the stuff that he was going through? Like,
yeah, all the time. See, I never believed it. Now, there are people who I know who say, I believe everything about that. I don't take no time to argue with them because I didn't see none of that. I saw no signs of it or anything like that. You know, I had a joke one time that I wrote about, hey, Mike, you like, I ain't got no 8-year-old buddies.
Yeah, great joke.
You know, I got no 8-year-old that can ring the doorbell talking about ding dong, is Steve home. You know, I don't have that.
Yeah.
But he kept kids around him and stuff like that, and people accused him of that. But if you remember that little boy that they had, the father that was a dentist, that accused him of all of that, he came out later on and said it wasn't true.
My dad made me say it.
Yeah, GQ did a whole article, but they squashed that article in GQ. You know, about how it didn't happen. And then Mike paid the money because he just didn't want to deal with it. Man, I'm just pay them off so they can leave me alone. $20 million, I'm not giving you $20 million to stop saying nothing. Not like, that's that other side of that Christian in me.
Yeah.
I'll fight you for $20 million, but I'm not handing you $20 million. You say what you want to say about me, I got no money for you.
But I think with all the social media and people accessibility to communication, I really think it's better for people to learn, right? Not to say anything negative to anybody. If you don't have something nice to say, it's better really for you not to say it. Can you imagine? I sometimes watch people saying negative things constantly, and they look like a fool in front of everybody because everybody reads it, right? If you don't have anything good to say nothing. You know, it's better to sometimes say words. My wife always tells me, words have power.
Yeah, man.
Words have power. So when you say something about someone, or you say it in a way to bring someone down, trust me, you will stay down for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Don't be a babbling fool.
Exactly.
What? Speaking of like not saying anything, do you regret going back on the stage and telling people, "Hey, I messed up saying the girl's name at the pageant show"? Would you, if you could go back in time, would you be like, I'm just going to chill and let them?
Well, that was the way I was raised.
You go fix it.
The true story behind that was they had changed the way we would do it. They used to go third runner-up, second runner-up, first runner-up, and then announce Miss Universe. Well, there's only 3 women on stage.
Yeah, it's anticlimactic.
So it's anticlimactic. So they changed it. They had bought it from Donald Trump, and they changed it that year. So that year we said we're going to announce second runner-up. Then it'll be first runner-up, and who's going to win Miss Universe standing there. So then we rehearsed it all week like that. So after we did second runner-up, it's just the 2 ladies sitting there. The teleprompter said, and the new 2015 Miss Universe is, where I get that from? It's in the teleprompter. So I read, and the new 2015 Miss Universe is, in my ear, the guy said, read the second name on the card, Steve. The second name on the card was Miss Columbia. So I read Miss Columbia. He said, great job, go to the back. The crowd goes crazy. I go in the back. 2 minutes out there, the celebration. My boy comes up to me, stage manager, says, Steve, oh, gee, you read the wrong name. I said, no, I didn't read the wrong name. Look at the card. He said right there. He said, look down here. They had put the winner in the corner.
Where your fingers?
But when they handed me the card, my thumb is over the number. And that wasn't how we rehearsed it. We only had the names on the card the way it was. So when I announced the second name on the card, that was actually the first runner-up. But we hadn't rehearsed it like that. Then the winner was in the corner. So I said, I'm going to go back out here and change it. They said, no, we'll fix it tomorrow in the paper. I said, no, I'm going to go out here and do it now. We live, they can't stop me. So I walked right out there and said, folks, there's been a mistake. I said the wrong name. I took the blame. It wasn't on me. It was on the teleprompter and the director. But I took the hit.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst and best decisions I've ever made in my life. Because, buddy, let me tell you something, man. On my vision board, I had asked God to increase my global brand and persona. That was on my vision board. God, I want you to increase my global brand and persona. I wanted to go global.
Yeah.
After that night, the next morning,
Be careful what you pray
in
for.
48 hours, the name Steve Harvey had been Googled 4 billion times.
Wow.
Oh.
I was the most Googled person on Google for years. I was now the most famous person on planet Earth. I was headlines in Italy, Philippines, everywhere. But man, that was a dark week. That was a dark week, man, because the Colombians, man, they wasn't happy.
Do you still have your security guards because of that?
Yeah.
It's till this day.
Bro, listen, my son
You don't
was
have
telling-
like you haven't have you been able to travel there?
No, I'm not going to Colombia. I don't even drink Colombian coffee no more. I think they.
Yeah, they hand you a cigar. They're like, it's Colombian. You're like, I'm fine. I'll
So
smoke this.
a lot of Colombians and Steve we forgot about. So what I did was, the next week was Christmas. So a week later was Christmas. So I've been getting beat up all week. I said, okay, enough of this. So I went on IG, and I said, hey y'all, this is Steve. Hey y'all, Merry Easter. I just said Merry Easter. And they said he back, he recovered. And so I never did an article, I never did an interview or anything about it until I could talk to Miss Columbia myself. I had a talk show at the time. She came in February. In February, she finally cleared her schedule. I apologized to her father because I knew I had hurt this girl, man. She was the most devastated. But her career zoomed after that. She
probably
got,
one of the most iconic
Yeah.
nights ever.
and so she came on my talk show, and I hugged her. I saw her for the first time, and I was able to apologize to her. It's emotional for me because I knew I had hurt this girl.
Yeah.
And so then after that, I did articles on it, but that was,
Out
that
of
was
all your shows, which one do you feel like is the most impactful one?
Showtime at the Apollo. Because it was the first. It was the one that I got when I was fitting to quit, when I was,
With Jamie Foxx.
yeah, man. I met Jamie Foxx that night.
Is your guys' relationship good right now?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we didn't know who each other was.
I love hearing
He's my
stories
neighbor.
like
I'm
that.
gonna take you down there and say hello to him.
That's such a Zaya thing to say. Dude.
No, seriously.
By the way, I own 4 companies. He is one of them, and we'll meet him tomorrow.
And so, yeah, man, I've always been cool with Jamie Foxx. You know, we had TV shows on at the same time after that. The Jamie Foxx show, the Steve Harvey show.
There's actually a question I've been wanting to ask. I love hearing that story about how like he lost the crowd. They started booing him, and then he started singing, and he
They
won
got
them
him
back.
right back, yeah.
What was he singing?
I don't know.
But was it part of his act, or is he just
No.
like, oh, I'm bombing right now, I'm just gonna start
They
singing?
started booing him, and he started singing. And that boy could sing.
He's
Now-
one of the most talented human beings, bro.
Jamie Foxx, of all of us, is the most diversified.
Yeah.
Him and Eddie Murphy. There's
Yeah.
no stand-up ever been more diversified than those two right there. Jamie Foxx can act, play the piano, sing, write, produce, and do comedy.
God bless.
And Eddie's
Wow.
the same way.
Eddie,
Those
yeah.
two. And then I would put next in that group Martin Lawrence, because I've never met a better mimic in my life than Martin Lawrence. Def Jam was Def Jam because of Martin Lawrence.
How do you feel about comedy and the temperature it's at right now?
Well, it's different now. It's not.
People are too sensitive.
Well, the cancel culture is killing comedy. You can't make fun of nobody no more. The only person that goes about his business the way they want to is 2 comedians, Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle, yeah.
And that's because they're not sponsorship driven. I mean, they're not sponsorship driven. They're subscription driven.
Yeah.
You can't cancel Netflix, and that's where they make their money. So Dave Chappelle is able to say anything about the gay community, anything. And they turned on him, but that didn't stop him from saying nothing. I think he's one of those special, gifted people, especially in today's times. And I like Bill Burr. Bill Burr is dynamic to me. He says some of the craziest stuff that read him. White boy, he cold, man.
I love
So
watching
angry.
him, and she goes, "He's so angry. Can we change it?"
Hey, man,
It
let me
like
tell you
stresses.
something.
You know when someone is like so angry, you see their veins and they're red.
Yeah.
Like I feel that, and it stresses me out. You know?
No,
I love
but
it, bro. I love when a dude pops
No,
off
man,
and he's
that's
feeling a
him.
certain way, bro.
That's him delivering the pain that other people are saying with the bravery to say it. And that's what comedy has always, comedians have always allowed us to laugh at ourselves and our pain. Because that's what it is, you know. My specialty was observational humor. When I did Don't Trip, He Ain't Through With Me Yet, was close to getting to the end of my career. And my last one I did, I sold out the MGM Gardens in Vegas my last night when I gave it up. And I cried for 20 minutes backstage because I was walking away from the one thing I said I would never ever walk away from. But I knew I had to give up something. Bishop Jakes taught me something one time. He said, everything you want on the next level, you have to break through a glass ceiling. And in order to break through glass, you're going to get cut and you're going to bleed. And the stuff that's going to bleed is something you care deeply for. To go to the next level, you got to shed something.
Yeah.
And stand-up was the thing I had to let go of. And it was the most painful. That was one of the most painful nights I've ever had, with the exception of the loss of my mother, which was, I can't even, I thought I was going to die. I lost my mom, man. I didn't know what to do. That was the worst I've ever, I didn't think I was going to make it.
How did you, if you don't mind me asking? Because, like, and she's my witness to this, like, I'll just break down crying. Like, thinking of it, I bought a house. This is the house that I used to shoot, but my main house is right next to my mom. Like, I when I'm done working, that's all I want to do is be next to her. Like, we'll sit here talk. Like, I'm gonna get emotional right now. But like, everything that I ever do in my life, including this right here, I just can't wait to go back and throw it at her feet and say, "Mom, look what I did."
Yeah.
And so, like, how do you continue without those two pillars in your life?
I wasn't doing well until her funeral. And the minister said something that changed my perspective. Because looking at my mom in that box, man, God dog, man. Oh boy, let me tell you something, man. I wouldn't, and I'm a tough ass dude. My father raised me to be that way. But I was sitting down there looking at that dude, man, and I've never seen my father broken ever. Except when they were married 64 years.
Wow.
He was broken. And my mother was on a respirator. And when I got to town, they kept on the ventilator so I could see her. I collapsed on the bed. 6 hours later, my father said, "Your mama said she don't want to live like that." And I got 2 big brothers and 2 big sisters. He said, "Come here, Steve. Go in there and tell them, take your mama off that machine." God, dog. Hold up, man, what? You go in there and tell them, let your mama go see Jesus. The roughest conversation I've ever had was to walk in there and tell that doctor, take my mama off the machine. Whew. As soon as I said it, I failed. I just crumbled, man. I didn't know what to do. Because the woman had taught me everything. I never loved nobody like I loved her. I had told them to pull the machine, plug out this wall, and I felt guilty about that, you know. But at the funeral, you know, my mom was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. She taught in the hood. At my mama's funeral, the church was packed. The overflow downstairs was packed. They opened up the windows of the church so people in the parking lot could hear my mama's funeral. Gangsters had come to pay respect to my mother. Pimps, drug dealers. I'm talking about, man, my mama taught everybody in the hood. I'm talking about, man, it was dudes in my mama's funeral with yellow suits on, pink suits, powder blue, pimps, hustlers, dope boys. Everybody came to see my mother. And I was sitting there with my 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I was crushed. And then the minister said something that changed it for me. He said, "I know y'all in pain, But to Sister Harvey's kids, turn around and look. And he made us turn around and see how big, how full the church was. And then he said, and downstairs, the overflow, the church is packed. We're broadcasting. We got speakers outside. We've never had a funeral where we put speakers outside. Everybody in the hood and came to see y'all's mama. Do you know how many lives she changed? It was this pimp that came around and he viewed my mother's body. His name's Sonny Calhoun. He was a pimp. And he came and he stopped. He said, hey, man, sorry about y'all loss. But y'all mama tried to save me. She ain't get me, but man, she sure tried to save me. She said, I'm finna go talk to God now, man, because that's what she wanted me to do. And we was getting all those types of testimonies. And then the minister said, joy and pain. He went through this whole list of credits that my mother had did. He was pointing at people. She say that boy right there, that boy. And it was some tough ass dudes at my mama's funeral, man. I grew up in the hood. I knew these boys. I'm still friends with them. These dudes were shooters. These dudes would do something to you, right? Talked about all the changes she had made in the neighborhood. And we began to smile at her accolades. And he said, I want you all to know something. As you feel this way, this pain you feel, think of everything she's taught you and everything she's ever done for all these thousands of people in this church. He said, joy and pain cannot reside in the same space. Joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. He said, so when you think of her, think of all the great things and the good things that she's done. And that helped me because it helped me get past the pain sometimes. Now, 28 years later, I still cry about her. 28 years later, it'd be days I'm doing good, then I'll think about it and I'll be smiling, then I'll just break down. Because that loss, for me, that shit was devastating, man. And I still, so like, I tell people all the time, man, I was crying about 4 years after my mom had died. It was her birthday. And I was talking to this girl and she said, why you crying? I said, I was just thinking about my mama. She said, how long your mama been dead? I said, 4 years. She said, you still crying after 4 years? I said, your mom's still living? She said, yeah. I said, then you don't know. Mm-hmm. You do not know. And I don't wish that on nobody because I don't care how big of a gangster you are. I don't care how cold you are. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care what you've accomplished. When that woman leave this world, you ain't gonna believe this shit. You just ain't gonna believe it. I don't care who you are. I was with a partner who's a straight gangster. His mama died, man. This dude right there, he went off for 6 months, man. He just went dark. And he was a gangster. He's a real tough dude. So I still have my moments, man. Like, I don't cry as much as I used to, but it's hard to see some months go by where I don't shed a tear about it or something.
Can't even imagine.
No, it's nothing to imagine. Like one of my partners lost his mom recently. He said, man, tell me something. I said, I can't tell you nothing, man. I said, just in due time, it'll get better. This too shall pass. It'll get better. But right now, I ain't got no words for you. Just hang on. Just ask God for strength, because I'm going to tell you, man, you're not going to believe it. You just ain't going to believe it. It ain't,
Such a beautiful minister that you had that could bring so much light. I mean, there really is no right thing that you can say in a moment like that. So for him to even give you guys a glimmer of, peace and joy, and I think that's what's so beautiful about our relationship with God. I think that's the one thing that he can give so much peace to us, that we know that when our loved ones leave, they're not gone forever. They're in the kingdom. They're with Jesus and they're celebrating.
You know what? I used to hate, though, man, when people say, she in a better place now. Nah, man, hold up. When she was upstairs in that rocking chair sitting next to that refrigerator, that was the better place for me. You're not helping me with this one right now. So I never say that to people. Well, she in a better place now. I don't say that to nobody, because what you really want her is back. upstairs where you can go talk to her. So I don't say that to people. I tell people it's painful. You're going to get through it. Try to remember all the great stuff she did. And that's where you got to sit with it. But everybody handle it different, I guess. But it's I don't know nobody. I watched Denzel break. I watched Samuel L. Jackson break. I watched Tyler Perry break. I watched some people with a whole lot of money, because your money ain't gonna fix you on this one. It ain't nothing you go. Especially boys, man. This is the first woman we ever loved.
Right.
She's the first woman you ever loved, and that love don't ever go away. That's why I want to take you to meet my mama. You know, you take the chick of your dreams, you take her to meet your mother.
Yeah.
Because you want her mama, look what I did.
She's the only one that's ever met my mom.
Yeah, bro, because she the one. She the one.
You know, the reason it gets so tough when I like talk about it or I think about it, or like, because when you speak about it, I can feel it. Because the relationship you have with a good parent, unfortunately, not everybody has that, right?
Right.
But when you have it, it's... Remember when you were talking about, like, you were at school and the teacher said, "You're not going to be a TV star, man. You have a stutter."
Yeah.
But you go home, and it's like all the lies that the devil builds around. When you go home to your mom and dad, they breathe life into you.
Yeah.
That's the paralyzing part for me, is like, I can't think of a moment that I've dealt with something or an obstacle where I don't run to my mom. A lot of people, "Oh, he's a mama's boy." It's like, well, I'm proud to be a mama's boy. I run to my mom like, "Yo, this is my obstacles, this is this," and she'll breathe life into me, and I feel this strength, and I'll go out like a lion, I'll devour it, but then I'll just have these thoughts in my mind, like, what happens when I don't have that voice talk back to me?
You're gonna have to that you went to pull on, you're gonna pull on it again, because she gonna leave you with that. Man, she left me with so many jewels, so many diamonds. You know, like a lot of times, man, when your parents talking to you when you're young, you don't get it. And then you get it later on. I can't tell you how many times I hear her voice. Like just yesterday, you know, they picked me and my wife up on the plane. We go through special services, right? So these people come take us off the plane. I don't go through the airport. They take us down the steps. I get in the car, then they take me to customs in a private room and all like that, right? And these women that are helping us, they want to carry the bag. I don't let a woman carry my bag. And when she's holding the door for me and my wife, no, I get the door. You go through. Because I hear my mama all the time. You don't walk through no door in front of no woman. And just yesterday, I told the lady, she said, "Oh my God, it's so nice of you, but it's my job. You have to go in front of me." I said, no. My mama let me do that. Man, my mama bust me in my head. Right now, my mama will bust me in my head if I don't let you go through this door in front of me. That's my mom. I hear my mama all the time. I hear her all the time saying stuff. Her and my dad. My mother is always the good stuff. You know, my dad is gangster.
He's the right hand.
Yeah, get him.
Yeah.
Get him. Go over there and snatch him up.
Yeah.
Put some fabric on him. Fold his clothes up. That's my father.
Yeah. Whenever you were hearing this, when we were like debriefing on you, I was laughing so hard because the things that he was telling you. My dad, I got in trouble one time because this kid punched me in my face. And my dad's like, "I will beat your ass if I ever hear another man swung at you and you didn't do anything."
Bro.
The next day, I went looking for the smoke. I said, "Let me get this straight. If he touches me, I can hit him." He goes, I don't even care if your mother's or you answer to me. If somebody swings at you, he goes, "You swing back, and if you don't, I'll kick your ass when you get home." I went home. I went to school looking for the smoke.
Yeah, gotta find it.
Yeah,
but you need that.
Yeah,
because you got to be tough. Look, this man right here did not get to where he is because he's not tough. Dog, he's got a section in him that's a gangster.
No,
You don't get that without being that piece. Every man got to have that in him. You got to have some dog in you. You can't. Your wife got to lean on your strength a lot of times, and you're going to have to lean on hers. But, man, when it get tough, he got to step out to the front. He'll take a bullet for everybody in his family. You know, like I tell people all the time, a man walk in the room and he got one bullet in the gun, he got to shoot me. I got 7 kids, 8 grandkids. You got one bullet. I can promise you that bullet gonna go in me. Cause I'm not finna let you. I got one bullet. We can stop this conversation. You finna use this thing. Now I'm gonna try to talk you out of it, but I'm gonna be between them and that bullet. He the same way. He said to me, my family is everything to me. Everything? Yeah. Cause at this age, man, I mean, what else is it? He don't need another car. He don't need no more clothes. He don't really need another watch. You might want some stuff, but it's about that family, man. And what he said too reminds me of this saying that says, a society becomes great when old men plant trees under the shade of which they know they'll never sit. You got to do something that's going to leave something for somebody else's enjoyment that you know you won't even be there to enjoy.
Yeah.
So you got to plant some trees under which the shade you know you'll never sit. I know that 1,600 acres I got, that them 90,000 sprucelings I planted when that hurricane came through and wiped out a big section of my forest, and I had to plant 90,000 trees in there, I know I won't be under that shade, man. I know I won't. But I planted them so my grandkids will be walking through that forest. Man, these some big trees. That tree 50 years old. Your granddaddy, Papa Harvey, put them trees there. And that's what he does. He lives his life. I learned this from him today about family with this guy. That's why I got on the plane, because I knew he was one of God's men. You know, we got to come together as God's men. We got to go to each other. He said, I want you to come do this podcast for this kid. He talks about Christ. Okay, what I'm going to tell him? No, man. I'm going to go see the dude. Then my son said, Dad, this dude is dope. This dude is dope. Because I don't watch podcasts. I don't watch nothing. I don't even watch my own shows. I saw Family Feud one time. I've been on that 16 years.
Wait, one time?
I watched it one time.
Don't feel bad.
Which episode?
My mom watches it from morning to night.
And that's what he told me.
My mom watches the show. She gets up in the morning. When she turns on the TV, watch Family Feud up to the minute she sleeps.
That's actually why you guys are working together. He waited outside. He goes, my mother wants you.
No, really.
He goes,
And I always tell her, I said, Mom, you don't understand English. What do you think about, what do you know about what this guy's saying? She says, something about him I like. I said, yeah? What about a guy before him? I don't like the guy before him. Why? He kissed women. I said, is that part of his show? He has to do that. No, son, I looked at his eyes. This son of a bitch wanted to kiss these women.
Yeah, he did.
But not Steve Harvey. Not Steve Harvey.
And I told him today, Richard Dawson married 2 of them women.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
way.
then the dude that was kissing everybody?
Yeah.
My mom showed me that. I go, hey, yo, well, you guys didn't have HR or something? What's going on here? And she's
No, they
like,
didn't have none of that.
Then she's like, no, he kissed everybody. And then she's trying to go, she goes, no,
Yeah, yeah.
he kissed little girls, bigger girls, older girls. I go, it's getting worse. I go, it's getting worse. I go, first of all, never be a defensive attorney, ever. And that was the worst thing you said to me. But yeah, that guy was weird. And she's like, no, back in the day, it was different.
Back in the day, it was dope what he was doing, but that's not the world we in today.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah.
That kid's not. They got, penicillin used to could cure stuff.
Yeah.
They had one drug. It was called penicillin.
And
It would cure stuff. It does nothing now. It does nothing.
and the funny thing I says, how do you know this is a good guy? She said, I watch him, how he fixed people's clothes. I said, what do you mean? He said, this boy, his tie was crooked. He fixed it for him. He said, he's a good guy. Trust me, he's a good guy. What she doesn't know, we're going to have dinner together. She'll be sitting next to him.
No way. Yeah, she doesn't know.
Oh, she don't know.
Nah, you got
Oh,
guys hold the cigar things right here in your teeth. We'll cut around it.
No, it's
they'll
okay.
say-
I'm going to swallow. Don't worry about it.
It's good protein.
But the funny thing is,
gangster.
he's the best.
it's the best form of entertainment. Like he's touching this woman that she sits alone in her house, from morning to night, watches this guy's shows one after another, after another, after another. It's unbelievable.
Because you make people laugh, you make people cry. I mean, you make me cry this
Oh,
whole
bro,
time. But
I almost took your napkin because you weren't using it. I was like, I crumbled mine up.
you speak, so much life into people, and you bring them, you minister in a way. When you speak life and you give these stories and you give God's words to them, what is your Bible study like? If you do Bible study or if you meditate and you learn God's word, what is that like
You
for
know what I do? Sarah Young has a book out called Jesus Calling. That's my daily. I've read all 365 days. I just go back and start over because you can't get it enough. So Jesus Calling is a book by Sarah Young. A lady gave it to me on my show. She's a tech engineer, the sound engineer. It's a Jesus Calling. It's a daily devotional, and you read these daily devotions. It's from her perspective, a person talking to God about what he or her is missing or needing or wanting, and then it has 3 or 4 scriptures at the bottom in the King James version that relates to that exact daily devotional. That's my daily routine. That's how I do it.
Nice.
And then I have my Bible next to me in case I need to read the scripture before it or after it. But that's my daily devotional. I miss sometimes, because I got to go get a plane. I run out of time. I woke up late or something like that. But that's my daily devotional. It's Sarah Young's Jesus. I've given that book to I can't tell you how many people. I give it out as gifts because it was a game changer for me because it helped me because, I got to read the New Living Bible because King James too heavy for me.
Yeah.
And once you say henceforth there whither whence,
You lost me.
Yeah, English wasn't. You can tell by the way I talk. Even according to Katt Williams, I'm a country bumpkin. So, I couldn't. The King James version a little bit too heavy for me. So I got to read either the Amplified or the New Living because I need it in English. The key is to understand it and get a takeaway.
Yeah, it's the relationship behind it.
Not the memorizing the exact way he talked.
You said something in this podcast. I didn't want to stump over you because you were on a great flow, but I think people really need to understand it's not the church, it's not the walls, it's not the words, it's the relationship. The word became flesh, John chapter 1, right? So when people could know the words, like you said, but applying them as 2 different words. Remember, the devil, if me, you, and Zaya and my wife all sat together and across the table is Satan, guess who's going to know the Bible more than us? He is. Yeah. But he doesn't apply it. You could know the Bible just as much, but if you don't apply it, you're not going to have that relationship. It's kind of like a wife. You could have a wife, but that doesn't mean you have a relationship with your wife.
That's right.
Well, let's end that with that. Before I take you guys off, because you guys have been here for quite some time, and I appreciate your time. I just got married, and thank God we keep God centered at the beginning of it, and so anytime we have any arguments or any problems, we just center ourselves, and there's no ego, there's no pride. I run the house, but I think this is something that is very old school. Maybe not a lot of people kind of mesh with, but I like having old school. Rules because I worked with my parents, I worked with their parents, and obviously we discuss everything. And it's not, by the way, it's not like I'm calling shots and there's nothing else. Every single shot I ever call is mostly influenced by what she's giving me wisdom on. Yeah. And by the way, if you look, it's a blessing that I was on camera for 10 years. You could see the day that she came into my life and how I accelerated as a human being because I loved myself, but I never loved myself as much as I love this woman. And it made me want to chase God and chase what I need to chase. What examples or pointers do you guys have for me as a man that's trying to be successful, but also I don't ever want to lose my family over it?
Let me let him take this one.
Yeah, first of all, that's a good start. Good for you.
It took me 3 times to get it right.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
So much.
But I've been married to my wife 34 years, and when I married her, that first real conversation we had, I said, in this relationship, it doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong. We always have to listen to common sense. Common sense is a common sense. So when we have an argument, it shouldn't be an argument. It should be a discussion to finding what is really right and what is wrong. And it doesn't matter if it comes from me or it doesn't matter if it comes from you. What's right, we have to adopt and we have to do. the best thing is for you to have this loving relationship, having faith in your relationship, be each other's best friend. Be each other's best friend, right? And because that gets you a different way of closing together, right? Where you feel you need that person not only because she's your wife, you love her, but you think you need that person because you connect the most with her than anything else. And every time comes an argument about everything, anything. It could be about the money, it could be which house to buy, which car to buy, what food to eat, which restaurants to go to. Always discuss it before argument. To say, okay, you want Italian? I was thinking steak, but let's talk about why, which one is more important for which one of us. If it's that important for you to go to eat Italian, then we'll go eat Italian. No big deal about it. Or how about if we go eat Italian, next week we go eat steak, right? You have to have a conversation. A marriage falls apart when a conversation stops.
Yeah, communication is key. And I found the key is to the kingdom.
And you have to let each other talk. When she talks, listen. Don't think about what you're going to say to her as soon as she stops talking.
Yeah.
Because you're not listening.
We both did that to each other in the beginning of the relationship, and we realized how it goes in a circle because we're not listening to each other.
Yeah.
Like you're saying something, but I'm waiting to stump it or find it. And
don't talk over each other.
Yeah.
Don't talk over each other.
She's
always.
a brilliant woman, dude.
Don't talk.
A brilliant woman.
Because marriage, if the foundation is right, it can never break. Yeah. I mean, I've been married once. I've been married for 34 years. And it's funny, I love my wife every day more than yesterday. And I know no matter how much I love her today, I will love her less than tomorrow, right? Like my wife now, she's getting at the age, she wants to go with me everywhere, right? I'm surprised. She wanted to come even here. I says, please, sit on.
Wow.
She showed up. She's the
What are you doing?
Yeah. But the point is that you get closer together, where you want to be with each other more. You want to see each other more often. So have a faith and be smart enough to have a common sense. Listen to each other. Never talk over each other. Respect is very important. You must always respect each other. Words have power. I've learned that now at the age of 62. So don't say anything to her until you have thought about it 100 times before you say it to her. Right? Be careful, because you might say something to her when you're angry and then you will regret it for the rest of your life. That's not even bad enough as it is. She be thinking about it for the rest of her life. Right? So always be careful, right? Sometimes it's better. We were just talking about all those keyboard warriors that get on their computer and they start hurting each other because they have nothing better to say, right? But if they really think about it, what is that achieving? It's achieving nothing, right? You be blocked and rejected. You have no more voice anymore. Is that what you really want? Right?
Yeah.
Wow. You know
Beautiful
what?
way of saying
That's
it.
like you said something of how you all used to argue, because what me and my wife had to understand was she said, I heard. I said, she heard. So whenever we get into an argument, we stop and go, okay, wait a minute. This is what you said, but this is what I heard when you, that's not what I meant. Oh, well, what did you mean? Because oftentimes what she says, we hear different because we're men.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how to, we're not
Selective
that
hearing.
deep. Yeah, we're just not that deep, dog.
Yeah.
You said that, so you must mean this. No, they could mean something totally different. So you have to go back and, okay, you said this, but let me tell you what I think you meant. And she go, that's not what I meant at all. That's how we solve the majority of our arguments.
Yeah.
The next point is, that is old school to say you're the head of the family, but that's how it really works.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm the head of the family, but my wife is the neck
of the family.
I say she's the spine.
Yeah.
I can't stand
Bruh,
up straight.
You try to do this without a neck.
Yeah.
It's just,
Try, bro. This is you just. And sometimes, man, a lot of times she's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, man.
It's a lot of wrestling with pride. Men think that leading means that they're always right. It's always their decision.
Well, pride-
but a good man
Yeah.
listens to a good wife.
Yeah.
In Proverbs, if we're talking about it, he says the greatest gift he specifies it as a favor from God. Now, I don't know about you guys, but a favor is a really good thing to have. It's a favor.
Yeah.
And if you have a good wife and it's a favor, I used to always tell her, she used to always thank me, like, you know, you always think about this. And her mother and I have a really good relationship, so she's like, I love the way you are and stuff. And I just tell them straight up, I said, I know what blessing that he gave me, and it would be a damn shame if I wasn't treating it right and he took it away from me and gave it to another man, and I'm watching from far away, they build this kill. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Also remember, pride is the worst thing a man or a woman could have or should have, right? Because when you have pride, you shut yourself up because you only listen to yourself. You're not listening to anybody else, right? And that, never have a pride. Pride is a disease, actually. Pride is a disease. Often, my own family don't know my accomplishment, right? There are things my sons learn every day about me that they didn't know I had. Right?
I've witnessed this, by the way.
Right?
It's kind of cool.
So never have pride. And there is a saying that behind every successful man, there is a woman. I always say, in front of every successful man, there is a woman. Because a man can never be successful if he's not inspired by his wife. Never.
Yeah. Amen.
Hey, man, an old man gave me the best advice I ever heard on marriage. He had been married 70-some years.
Wow.
I said, hey, man, I said, what's the secret? He said, you want to know the number one rule of marriage for a man? I said, what is it? He said, you can be happy or you can be right. and then he just looked off. He just looked off, and he didn't say nothing else. And he got up and walked away, and I went, well, I'll be damned. You could be happy or you could be right. Work that out, partner.
I love that. Thank you guys so much for coming.
You.
Zaya, thank you for
Pleasure.
introducing me. And Steve, thank you so much for coming to my home, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
That was dope.
That was
Thank you so much.
So we taped for 240.
Keep it going.
Is it how long?
We taped for 240.
Wow.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were sitting on the couch for 2 hours, 40 minutes?
I ain't gave nobody that kind of time.
He sends me a bill. I go, Lord, I don't know how to do this.
Well, you don't even understand.
Don't worry, I'm going to set him up with the good cognac, good cigar.
If he just said, I'm going to go somewhere and we're going to spend 2 hours and 40 minutes talking, I'd have said, about what? About what? Dog, I'm not finna go talk to I don't know these people.